Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday and welcome back to day 2 of the Wodapalooza 2022 live broadcast. You're getting a look at just a sliver there of the vendor village here at Wodapalooza in Bayfront Park, Miami, Florida. We've basically got a village that we built here, and it feels like we're having a party, basically. I was woken up in my hotel room this morning with just the music was already thumping, the age groups were already competing, adaptive athletes and everyone. So really happy to have you guys here with us again for day number 2, and happy to have my friend Bill Grundler here with me.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, man. It's just,
we're gonna have fun today.
Yeah, we were here last night. Closed my eyes, woke up, and you're right here next to me. I mean, can it get any better than that? I don't know.
Tonight we're just going to keep taking it all the way through. So one day down, we're entering day number 2 of 4. I'd love to have your reactions to where we're at in the overall. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I mean, the athletes yesterday had a lot that they had to do, and what they did was amazing. I mean, it was so good to see big names coming out of here with big races and exciting races all the way through. So the athletes did not at all disappoint of what we were hoping to get, you know, just as fans and as other CrossFitters, and we wanted to see big races. We did. It was awesome. Yep.
And so now day 2 approaching. We've got 2 more tests for the elite teams and the elite individuals. What do you make of day number 2 for these athletes, where they are after the first day?
Well, you got to look at what they did that first day. So we had that heavy flip sled that they had to do, a lot of posterior chain work. And then we had the thrusters and the Echo bike, a lot of leg work. So like their posterior chain and legs are just thrashed. So why not, you know, add a little insult to injury on your 3rd event and go with a heavy barbell movement and then some heavy weighted step overs on a chipper. I mean, that's, you know, what we like to do, we like to see. So I'm not going to lie. Day 2 is going to be tough after day 1. We're going to see what kind of recovery these athletes had.
And we'll get to the details of what these events look like. But first, let's get caught up on where the leaderboard stands after one day of competition. The men first. Patrick Vellner in the overall standings, no real surprise there. He is a 2-time champion here at Wodapalooza. But then behind him, Dallin Pepper, Phil Toon, Carone, and Jason Hopper rounded out. Those number 2 and 3 spots, Bill, are really something that caught my eye. But let's take the time, as we should, to celebrate Patrick Vellner sitting in that overall spot.
Pat Vellner does exactly what he needs to do. He didn't look, I want to say it's almost like he was running his own race. He didn't seem to be racing anybody else. He just went through each one of those events and looked cool, calm, and collected. It looked like it was a regular training day. You know, it's day 1 of 4. He just looked relaxed. He never seemed bothered or worried. And I mean, what an amazing finish. And he just didn't look like he was competing against anybody, which is really different. The rest of the field seems to be racing. He's just out there doing his thing, which is winning.
With 2 very different tests. I was wholly impressed by Pat Vellner. Now, behind him, a young man who cut his teeth in the teenage division, and of course we expected him to do well. I don't know that I expected him to do this well. What do you make of Dallin Pepper?
I'm thoroughly impressed. And maybe I shouldn't be. You know, we always talk about the young up-and-comers in the sport. But Dallin Pepper is a 3-time champ out of the teen from the games. I mean, the guy knows competition and a high-level competition, but getting in the mix here and going shoulder to shoulder with some of the biggest names and sitting in this number 2 spot behind Pat Vellner, I was not expecting that. No. Very strong athlete, had a very great season last year with the way he finished in the Open and where he was in the last chance qualifier and everything else. He just missed going to the game. So as a 20-year-old, being 6 foot, 215 pounds, a very large man.
Why I like him. Anybody over 200 pounds and over 6 foot in the CrossFit world just gives me hope.
I mean, I don't want to say he's a Clydesdale, but he's a big boy. He's a big boy at 20, and he's going to have a great finish.
By definition, he's a Clydesdale. All right, we got to talk about the guy behind him, Phil Toon. Not on my radar at all. And, of course, I've been talking to folks who are very plugged in, encyclopedias of the CrossFit space, as you would. And they said, yeah, he's been knocking on the door. But what do you think about Phil Toon?
I was shocked. I know he's a strong character. He's got a rated back squat at 575 pounds, a deadlift at 660 pounds. And he's not an overly big guy, 5'10", about 195, 200 pounds. But the way he exploded with that flip sled and the way he looked on that Echo bike was incredible. Came out of the gate. So I was like, I had to go back and look at his stats too and see what's the deal with this guy. Why haven't we seen this? Why haven't we seen him? And we haven't seen him because he's just missed the door every single time. 6th place in the last chance qualifier last year. So he's never really made it into the spotlight. He's just been on the fringe. Well, you're sitting in spotlight now, my friend. You're there. We see a barbell complex coming up today. He's a strong cat. I think he can still make some pretty heavy moves.
Yeah. And as is the case in many other scenarios in the CrossFit Games currently, they're younging up the game, and the rumor has it that Dahlin and Phil are actually going to train together now in the run-up to the CrossFit Games, so everyone better look out. Let's talk now about the women, and in the overall standings, we talked about her a ton last night because she went 2 for 2. Ellie Turner, 200 points after 2 100-point events. Bethany Shadburn and Dani Speegle in the top 3. Fisa Gaffi knocking on the door of the podium race, and Sarah Sigma's daughter rounding out that top 5. I've had so many conversations at this point about Ellie Turner, just because, again, I missed her. I didn't think much about her after last year's Games competition. Like, tell me what you know about Ellie.
We know that she's a Games athlete, so just the fact that she's a Games athlete, you know she's a good athlete. But again, same thing. She's always been in kind of that eclipse zone where you don't really see anything spectacular. That was changed yesterday. When you come out with a perfect first day, 2 first-place wins, and not just win, but handedly win.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you look completely fresh and completely calm that entire time. She did not look beat up after that Echo Fran, which she should have been. I mean, we've seen some big-name athletes that were laid up on the ground after that, and she didn't have that. So I'm very impressed. I just want to know if she's going to be able to hang with that pressure.
Yeah.
You know, she said she was surprised that she was there. So is that going to affect her? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and credit where credit's due. We were talking to Brian Friend before we started the broadcast, and he pointed out, he's like, hey, man, like, what about Katrin David's daughter? She started in the mid-20s her first time at the CrossFit Games, and a handful of others.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, how do you make that big of a jump from mid-pack 20s to now beating up Wodapalooza? She's still got to prove herself at the Games, but it's a fantastic point by Brian. So let's move on now and talk about who's chasing her down, which are some more well-known names. Bethany Shadburn stands out, of course, because we wanted to see how she was going to do in her return to competition. She's doing pretty well.
She's doing great. I think the fact that she is not looking pressured. Now, we've been waiting to see her compete. The last time we saw her was in the West Coast Classic. You know, we didn't get the chance to see her in the Games, and I think she's one of those athletes that the fans really wanted to see what she could do. I mean, she's a big persona out there that hasn't just put the stamp in the ground yet, you know, so we really want to see that. And she looked great all day yesterday. She doesn't need to win every event. And I think that, you know, the fact that she didn't win, we were kind of like, well, maybe she's not, maybe she's missing. I don't think that's the case. I think she's just doing what she needs to do on day 1, which is, I just need to be in the top 5. And every time you hit in that top 5, that's going to keep her in that leaderboard spot. So she looks great. Again, she didn't look worried. I'm not really worried about it either.
I'm smiling not because of your commentary, which is fantastic. I'm smiling because I feel like we're in a dance club. We got the hot stepper playing behind us. It's like, I'm having too much fun, so pardon me for smiling through your commentary. We got a barbell complex to start off the day today, and when I think about that, Dani Speegle seems like she's somebody who's going to like it. She's sitting in 3rd in the overall points standing. What do you think about Dani's projection for day 2?
Well, you know, Dani's a home run hitter. If it's a wheelhouse event, she will knock it out of the park, and she did great yesterday on a strength event, which was that flip, and then a power output event, which was on the Echo Fran. And she's sitting in a great place. Now, granted, it was a 5th and a 7th. That's not bad. It's not a bad position for her to be in. Come into today with a heavy barbell, and she's a strong female athlete, just a very powerful athlete. I'm expecting to see something bigger. I mean, if you look across the field, she's going to be the strongest athlete. So as long as these things keep going her way and she can keep her head in the game and keep having a good time, she's going to stay up on that podium spot. I mean, she's doing great.
One that we also, I don't want to sleep on Fisa Gaffi there in 4th place.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I was necessarily expecting that.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot. The women's division is deep, but you don't see anyone that's like jumping out right away. We don't have like the classic Tia Tumis that are in there where you're like, okay, yeah, obviously they're going to be at the top. So everyone's right in that mix. I think with today's events that are coming up, Fee's got a great spot. So I mean, she could stay in that top 5 position.
Today's schedule is flip-flop, so the teams will actually go first. That action is coming up very shortly. So for some analysis on what you guys can expect from day number 2, we go to the men who are going to call the action, our friends in the booth, Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez.
Thank you, Ro. Day 1 of the team competition at Wodapalooza certainly had its share of surprises. We will start on the women's side where Kristen Holta and Team Krieger, they earn a perfect 200 out of a possible 200 points. They finished 1st in both events. Mayfem, they sit in 2nd place, just 6 points back, followed by Team GOWOD and the Born Primitive underdogs. But look how close it is on top of the overall standing. Just 9 points separate Krieger from GOWOD.
And this very first event today, the Miami Bar Complex, is going to be key for the crew
crew out of Norway, the Team Krieger, because you look at who is behind them. Mayfem, GOWOD, they have some heavy hitters. Taylor Williamson, Andrea Nisler, and Mia Hesketh, who was at one point one of the strongest women in CrossFit. If they can hold them off going into the chipper, that will be huge.
Over on the men's side, it was no surprise that the team of the boys did well, given the talent that they have assembled with Noah Olson, Chandler Smith, and Travis Mayer. But look down in 7th place, Mayhem in Paradise. They took a 17th in Event 2. They are now 45 points out of 1st.
Bit of a seesaw day for them, but good news with this Miami bar complex. If you've ever seen them training down at the barn in Cookeville, this style of workout is right in their wheelhouse. They do a ton of shared bar lifting. You go, I go. I've actually been crushed by one of those events with them, training with them in Cookeville. But the question is, can they make up enough ground on the boys and those other talented teams going into the chipper? Because there you get to really lean on your individual talent.
Still early, but a lot on the line in that next event for the teams, and they will kick off action today, and we will have it all for you. For now, though, let's send it back to Roy McKernan at the desk.
Okay, Bill, this is actually only my 2nd year at Wodapalooza, but you've been here for 7 out of the 10.
Yeah.
I would like to, first of all, tell people at home that I'm not joking. If you've never made it to the event, you have to. It's completely different than anything I've ever done or been to in the CrossFit competitive space. It feels like a party, frankly, here in the middle of the winter.
100%. It is beautiful. The weather is interesting and fun, especially if like you're coming from a snowy land or something like that. But the vibe is just incredible. It is very... what Guido and the team has done and Loud and Live and everything that they've done to blow this thing up, it is a true community festival. Yeah. And with the music blast in the background, like it's a full cultural experience. It's awesome.
And so in that context of the 10-year celebration and what we keep talking about, I would love to kind of just glean your memories, your fondest memories of being here at Wodapalooza. You got a couple that
I got a couple.
You can kind of pull out your best. What do you got?
All right. So I haven't competed here at the CrossFit Games, the Wodapalooza competition, but I broadcasted here all of the years that I've been here, and I think two that really stick out. There was one year where there were torrential downpours, and one of the events was on the Flagler stage, and all the equipment that they had, you had to pull everything in, but there was one GoPro camera that was mounted up at the top. They had it set up somewhere, and everything was downpoured, couldn't do anything outside, and so myself and Chase Ingram, we still wanted to call it because we were trying to do it, trying to get the information on there, because it's what we do.
You want to give the people what they want.
We got to give the people what they want. And so we were in the back of this white panel van looking at this little black and white TV that had like a small box where you could sort of see people moving past the camera, but we were still trying to call it. So we were doing the best we could to try to give the people what they had. And it was unreal.
And it was appreciated. I actually remember texting you guys during those times and being like, hey, how's it going? You're like, I don't know how to start to explain what's going on, but hopefully,
but we had a blast.
Hopefully people appreciate it.
Oh, man. And probably the next time was my brother is competing this year, James.
I didn't know that. That's cool. Okay.
He'll be here in the old 50 to 54 Masters division.
Right on.
Holding it down for the Grundler family, But he was competing one year, and that year we were doing some of the different broadcasts, so we would call some of the different divisions. And me and Chase were calling one of his races, and it's very difficult as a big brother to call on the mic and do it our thing and then still try to coach. So we'd be saying, oh, and over in lane so-and-so, this is happening, whatever, and then I'd have to rip my headphones off and hold the microphone. You gotta get going on the blah, 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 and say whatever. So that was really fun. But I tell you what, there are a lot of memories, and just even talking about this, so many start flooding in. But if you guys haven't been here, you have to come here. It's an amazing time for sure.
No doubt about it. We got the tropical breeze going. Good times there, had by all. Let's get back to competition, and let's get back to the women's female competition. The women's individual competition, where we were talking a lot about Ellie Turner. Well, Jamie Hagia, who's been reporting from the floor all weekend long, got a chance to catch up with her with a report, and we're going to hear from Jamie now.
This biggest surprise of yesterday might have been Ellie Turner in the women's heats. She ended up taking 2 first-place finishes when all eyes were on Sarah Sigmundsdottir returning from a torn ACL and Bethany Shadburn missing the CrossFit Games due to COVID. But Ellie Turner was able to win both of those events. She did say that she loves going to that pain cave, so we're going to be looking to her to hold on to this lead in that chipper later tonight.
Well, she'll face 2 more events with the rest of the women today. Events number 3 and 4, the MIA Bar Complex and the Bayside Chipper. We're going to get into event number 3 first. Bill, you mentioned, listen, heavy, fast, and kind of interesting. This is actually a double repeat.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about event number 3, strategy, and how you think these athletes should approach it.
Well, okay, so the way it's set up, you have one weight, you have to do 3 pieces, and there was originally the talk of it being a complex. It's not necessarily a true complex. So you have to do 3 hang cleans, then 3 front squats, and then 3 jerks, and then 2, 2, 2, and then 1, 1, 1. It's
complex
really it's a complex, if you will. The strategy is going to be, obviously, it's a race, so you need to be able to move through your squats or your cleans quickly. I think you're going to see a lot of the athletes doing that bounce hang clean that Scott Panchik kind of made famous, which a lot of athletes are using now. So that speed is going to be important. I think you have to have a lot of speed with your squat, but it will really come down to that last barbell, because for some of the athletes, that's going to be a heavy weight. So how do you decide to break that up? Are you able to go from a hang clean position into a front squat and then get that up overhead? That's going to be really interesting. And I don't think it's going to be the strongest athlete that wins. It's not going to be the athlete that are best at like the lightweight stuff either. It's going to be that middle ground athlete. So your 85, 90%ers, those are the ones that are going to have the best shot, because they can lift heavy, but they can lift a lot and fast, and that's what you're going to be looking for.
Well, the teams are going to come up first, so let's flip it real quick and let's talk about the team version of this event, because it's a bit different, and there's some very interesting things that people need to be paying attention to. Yeah,
the strategies are going to be a little bit different. When you have a team, and what we've been told so far is that the way to complete it is you have to just get through all the reps. So you see 999, 666, 333, and you have 3 athletes, and you can do that any way you want. Now that possibly can mean that you could have 2 athletes that are doing all the work, and 1 athlete that just sits there the entire time, doesn't have to even touch a barbell. So there are some strategies of, okay, where are you going to put these people? Do you put your workhorse at the end for the really heavy stuff, or do you put them up at the front so that they can get through that first set of 27 reps at 999? It really depends on your team. It really depends on the athletes that you have, and you're going to have to play to the strength. So I think a lot of the teams have to be very specific about their strategies, rather than just taking a general, all right, well, we're going to break this up, and you break that up, and that break up. It's a very individualized team strategy.
And just real quick, because we got team competition coming up, but like, do you love that or do you hate that? If you could, because I could get out of pressing 315 over my head altogether.
Right.
Which I would, by the way.
I think part of me wants it to be that you can't have somebody hide. You always, I think, in a team setup, you have to be able, you should be able to play to your weakest link, and have that be what's going to carry the team or not, rather than being able to hide that weak link. Sure. But, there's a lot of strategy that's coming in here. We saw that in the first day, where there were strategies in the way that different teams decided to play that. Yeah. And, you have to play to your strengths, and whatever the rules are. I mean, as an athlete, you play to the rules. Here are the rules, and it's like, okay, we have to pick our best strategy within those rules, and then kind of go for that.
Well, we'll see how those strategies play out right now. Hey, we're going to be at the desk all day long, keeping you guys caught up. Right now, though, we go to the elite team action, and we'll be back with you guys soon. Enjoy the day.
I talked to James Newberry, and he...
It is a beautiful day to slang around some weight. Day number 2 of Wodapalooza here at Bayfront Park in Miami, Florida kicks off with the elite teams. Thank you so much for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez. Jamie Hagia is down on the competition floor. The teams are through 2 events, 2 more events today on this beautiful Friday morning, and we start with the MIA Bar Complex.
What a great way to kick off a long weekend of fitness in Miami with a little bit of barbell work. A nice complex, 9, 6, 3 of the complex hang cleans, front squats, and shoulder to overhead will ascend in weight with each round, and the teams can split it up however they like.
Definitely some strategy that will come into play here. Your lane assignments for the first of 3 heats. There will be 12 teams on the floor. Now, the lane numbers have shifted. They have moved the teams down 10 lanes. So lane 1 now becomes lane 11. Lane 10 is now lane 20, but they will still be aligned in the same fashion on the floor. So MXN Power will be in lane number 22 as opposed to lane number 12. All the teams on the floor right now are looking to get their way inside the top 10. You just saw Limelight Athlete. They are in 11th place overall, 137 points. Pardon me. Yes, 11th place overall, 137 total points. So trying to get into the top 10, and we are underway. And as you said, Tommy, you can divide this work up any way you want.
And so, you know, we often go when we're working in teams, complex stuff, you try to maybe split the work evenly, maybe just highlight a few athletes that may be able to shine in certain areas, but forget what your kindergarten teacher told you. Sharing isn't caring in this event. You're really gonna have to lean into the athletes that can make quick work of certain sections of the barbell. You don't have to split it up evenly, so there is no reason to, because all that does is add extra unnecessary transitions.
That is the Kinesia squad in lane 17. The barbells go from 185, and you have to perform 9 reps of the hang clean, the front squat, and the shoulder to overhead. Then you go up to 195, 6 reps of each, and then finally a 205-pound barbell. That is Limelight Athlete in the middle of your screen. Best finish was 11th in the opening event, 137 total points for them. They're only 11 points out of 5th.
Hey, you know, coming out over from Korea, you know, one of the international teams that made the long journey over. It's, you know, it's nice to see some of these up-and-coming teams from developing countries as far as CrossFit competition is concerned show up and actually make an impact on some of these big-time competitions.
They have 1 rep to go on the front squats, and then they'll get into the shoulder to overhead. So 9 reps of each. And again, you can divide this up however you want.
Love the technique there on the jerk. Dropping right down into the re-dip for her post jerk. No wasted motion.
That looks to be boats and bows. That's lane, that is lane 12, pardon me. So that's Girls Gone Wild South, who are your leaders. They have now moved on to the 195-pound barbell, so 6 reps.
I mean, right away you can kind of see who are going to be the leaders in this event based on what kind of technique they bring to that hang clean, especially as we get into the heavier barbell in the second round. You're going to see some athletes have to pull underneath into a squat. You know, obviously the athletes that are able to stick to the power clean, live above parallel, you're going to be able to make quicker work of it.
The Boats and Bows, they are in the blue next to Girls Gone Wild South. Girls Gone Wild South, the team of Melissa Huff, Bridget Steffen, and Danny Kearns. Boats and Bows, Sammy Nally, Ann Christensen, and Sierra Cameron. They are in the blue.
And it should be noted here that, you know, if by chance one of these athletes has to pull underneath into a squat for the final hang clean, that does not count towards their front squat. They have to stand it up, and then the front squat portion starts. So you can't blend the 2 movements together.
Girls Gone Wild South, they are on the front squat portion of this. They already have now 3 repetitions done. Now the shoulder to overhead portion.
You saw the direction there from the teammates. It is required that the other team athletes have to stand behind the barbell. That is a safety precaution that they're requiring here as part of the workout flow.
Let's go down to Jamie Higia, who's on the competition floor.
We're seeing some of these women miss the hang clean portion of that. I think a lot of it is if they don't open up and get that full extension, they're going to catch the bar a little bit lower, which is going to cause them to fall forward and miss that lift. So we're looking, their backs must be sore, their abs are sore, so their midline is pretty burnt, but hopefully these women can open up all the way and get in a good position to catch those hang cleans.
195 pounds is certainly no joke. 6 reps shoulder to overhead, and the girls gone wild south. They are through the 195-pound barbell. They move up to 205 now. 3 reps, starting with 3 hang cleans, then moving on to the front squats and the shoulder to overhead.
And it's Jamie brings up an interesting point. We did a ton of midline stuff, you know, pulling heavy from the floor with that flip sled, ton of GHD sit-ups. We also taxed the legs a little bit with the worm thrusters and the echo last night. So feeling a little spicy. It's going to definitely affect the ability to put good work into this barbell.
Upper left is Girls Gone Wild South. They are among the leaders, as are the teams on the bottom right. Limelight Athlete in the yellow and the Kinesis squad. They are all on the 205-pound final barbell.
You're going to start to see some of the no reps pile up. Remember, every time there is a rule that every time the barbell gets dropped, you have to start a rep from the floor. So even if maybe we've seen in the past, athletes pass the barbell behind them, a bunch of different tricky ways to pass it off, but that's not going to be the case here.
Limelight has 1 shoulder overhead to go, and they missed that. They have 1 rep remaining before they will close out this heat. And this one's going to turn into a full front squat clean and jerk, and if Limelight can just get 1 more rep, they will be able to get across the finish line. Girls Gone Wild South, they are working on their shoulder to overhead. They have 2 reps remaining. Now 1 more attempt for Limelight on their final lift as Kinesis squad is starting to creep up. Girls Gone Wild South will get in. Kinesis followed by Limelight. So a close finish between those 3 teams. It looks like Girls Gone Wild South may have gotten there just ahead of Kinesis, who may have been a fraction of a second ahead of Limelight.
And it really came down to that last rep for Limelight. Multiple attempts having to pull from the floor. You know, athletes struggling to get that last rep locked out overhead. One thing we haven't really talked about is the transition of techniques between athletes within the framework of this event. You know, we're going to see some athletes push jerking and have to transition to split jerk as we get to that heavy barbell. And if you didn't warm it up, or if you're not entirely sure which technique to switch to, you can see some indecisiveness with the technique, and it results in some costly no reps.
Girls Gone Wild South with a time of 6:15.98 seconds officially. 8-minute time cap here, so we are getting close to that. More teams moving on to that final barbell and just trying to get those shoulder to overheads knocked out so they can get across the finish line. Good save right there. So now 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds remaining before we hit the time cap. So it's going to be Girls Gone Wild South setting the early time to beat at 6:15.98 seconds. Then we'll have to see who won that race for second between Limelight Athlete and Kinesis squad.
Oh man, fighting to the very, very last second. Tough lift, but.
And Limelight, as you mentioned, Tommy, had the lead, but just had some wasted attempts on that final shoulder to overhead. That's what ultimately cost them.
And, you know, early on, a few teams jumped to the forefront, being able to actually hang power clean, not having to pull underneath the squat, not having to do that extra movement. And Girls Gone Wild South, despite a couple of no reps, were able to hang close with the Limelight team. Beautiful lifting technique from the crew out of South Korea. And it really came down to the final jerks on the last rep. We saw Limelight miss multiple reps, and Girls Gone Wild South, really gritty performance to hang on for the final few reps, and they just sneak in ahead of Limelight for the time to beat from the early heat.
The top three very, very close in that heat. 2 more heats remain. Stay with us here in Miami, Florida. Wow.
Can we add another key for the later events?
Event number 3 for the elite teams continues here. The first of 2 events that they will face on this gorgeous Friday morning in Miami. Thanks so much for joining us today, everybody. Sean Woodland alongside Tommy Marquez, Jamie Hagia down on the competition floor. Event 3, first time that the teams get to get their hands on a barbell.
And it is going to be a heavy one. 963 reps of the complex hang cleans, front squats, shoulder to overhead, with the barbell getting heavier each round. You can split this up however you choose for these teams, so a lot of strategy coming into play.
Your lane assignments, and once again, the lane numbers have shifted. Just add 10 to each one. So Neon Minaj, they will be in lane number 11. The comeback team, they will be in lane number 20. Team Venezuela, they're in lane 13, and you mentioned heavy, and they have an athlete on their squad who can certainly handle a heavy barbell.
Yeah, we saw how key that final barbell could be for some team athletes. You see the woman standing just behind the front athlete, Laura Gonzalez, the tallest athlete on the team. She has a listed clean and jerk of 250 pounds, well above the weight of that final barbell. So she could be a key closer for this team if they're putting together a strong performance.
The time to beat belongs to Girls Gone Wild South, 6:15.98 seconds. And we are underway, and we start with the 9 reps of the hang cleans, the front squats, and the shoulder to overhead at the 185-pound barbell.
And you can already see a ton of teams being able to move this barbell much better. Staying nice and upright, quick hang cleans, not really having to hinge at the hip as much. That one was a little bit more labored, but we're seeing a lot of teams be able to move through this first barbell well. That's a good sign for the finish once we get up to that 205 barbell.
A handful of teams already on to the second portion of this opening barbell, the 9 front squats. There's no rule as far as how many each athlete needs to do. It's just get all the work done however you can.
And that's important as far as keys for this event. You know, there's a couple things that I really want to focus in on as far as what I think will make teams successful. Sharing isn't caring here. You can break it up however you want, so don't be afraid to lean on your heavy hitters as far as the lifting is concerned, and then sweat the technique. You're going to see athletes have to transition from hang cleans to squat cleans, from push jerks to a full split jerk. Being able to understand when the right time is to make that transition so you don't fail any reps could be huge, because we saw it cost a few teams in the earlier heat.
Freakin' Fitness is on to the second barbell. That is Briley Hansen ripping through those power cleans at 195 pounds. Now 6 reps of each movement. She'll hand off to Heather Hudson, who gets to work on the front squats.
And they are absolutely blasting this barbell.
There's Winter Nicolette Rodriguez, who is just destroying these shoulder to overheads.
I mean, she has had no problem. She ripped all 6 there. That just having the benefit of having each athlete handle just one portion of it, such a huge advantage.
Briley Hansen back to work at 205, will miss her first hang clean. 3 reps on each barbell. The time to beat, 6:15.98 seconds, and
there's the transition I was talking about, being able to move seamlessly from the power to the full clean.
Now, Freakin' Fitness running into problems here. They have yet to get a successful rep at 205. And Heather Hudson will get that. 1 down of the 3 hang cleans, and now she will miss her second rep. 2 lanes down is Team Flio Fuego. They have moved up to the 195-pound barbell, but Freakin' Fitness, they are all by themselves at the 205-pound barbell, but with every missed rep, they are allowing the teams behind them to start to catch up. So Winter Nicolette Rodriguez will manage to gut through those final 2. Now on to the front squats. Here comes Heather Hudson back to the barbell.
And it was key. You saw her be able to pull that first front squat from a full clean position from the floor. Just a nice little added advantage once they're able to get the hang clean portion out of the way.
Now 3 shoulder overhead remaining, and we saw Winter Nicolette Rodriguez have no problem at 195. Same story at 205, and Freakin' Fitness freaking demolishes that event, and they set the new time to beat, 3:35 unofficially for them.
And it looks like they're being told that they got a no rep on that last round, so I don't think they're actually done, because Winter Nicolette Rodriguez dropped the bar behind her. And one of the rules in the modern era of cross is you have to drop the bar in front to avoid the potential for dropping it on a teammate or judge or anyone that from the crew that's following behind you.
They're still going to set the top time at 4:01 now, but good catch on that, Tommy. We thought that they were finished, but Winter Nicolette Rodriguez making a mistake as far as where she drops the bar, and that's going to cost them about 25 seconds on their time. This is Team Flio Fuego.
I mean, that is a huge mistake, Sean, because you know these teams in the next heat are bringing some heavy hitters to the equation.
Shelby Neal on the barbell right now for Team Flio Fuego.
Shelby, a former Games teen athlete. Got to see her compete at the Granite Games semifinal this year, along with Jessie Harper, who just cleaned up that last front squat.
Harper unable to get that overhead. Second place in this event is still up for grabs. The prior time to beat, 6:15.98, is now the second best time. There's Ashley Wozni, who will get that first shoulder to overhead. And another team has come in, and it was the comeback team. They just got across the finish line, so they will take second place in the heat.
And that's the brutal part of this workout, Sean. If you miss a rep, you got to pull from the floor. And for some of these athletes that have to full clean it, you're doing a full clean and jerk for every additional rep. Just thrashes the legs.
So Flio Fuego unofficially 5:29 will get in. The comeback team, they got across in 5:06. So they are now in second place in the event. Flio Fuego will be third, and we still have a little time to go before we hit the Girls Gone Wild South time of 6:15.98 seconds.
Oh. That rep was there, just a little bit out in front.
I believe this is CrossFit Hype. Tara Demers, Austin LaValle, and Katie Canning.
Good save there.
And they are trying to get through those shoulder to overhead. This is Tara Demers on the barbell now.
Interesting that Tara opted to go for the hang clean. She didn't have to hang clean it there. She could have pulled from the floor if she chose. Maybe a little miscommunication.
Alton Lavalley is up next.
Both of the last 2 reps, Tara's just been able to lock it out, but just a little bit forward.
Now Blue City is in 7-12 unofficially.
Ooh. This is how crucial that final rep is. We saw in the first heat, cost Limelight a top spot in their heat. And, you know, right here we're seeing Hype struggle with that final rep, and other teams like Blue City can.
Here's Katie Canning, and Katie will get that lift, and they are in 7:38 for CrossFit Hype unofficially. Now 18 seconds to go before we hit the time cap. And that is the cap. Freakin' Fitness originally came in at 335, but because Winter Nicolette Rodriguez dropped the bar behind her and not in front, she had to redo the rep, and it wound up costing her team about 26 seconds. So 4:01 unofficially the top time for Freakin' Fitness.
And oddly enough, that dropping the bar behind you rule is informally dubbed the Froning rule, because it first came into play back in 2014. And you can see right from the outset some of these teams handling the opening barbell a little bit better. Kind of gave a clue that we might see a new top time to beat. Team Flio Fuego, a handful of other teams moving to the forefront. But it really came down to Freakin' Fitness in that final barbell. You know, Winter Nicolette Rodriguez, strong semifinal athlete, was able to get that box barbell up and make quick work of the jerk. She had a mistake on that final rep, dropping it behind her, but even with the 25 seconds added on and having to redo that last rep, they were well clear of the top time and setting the new time to beat going into the final heat.
One heat remains of the MIA Bar Complex. Sun's out, guns out, barbells are out. It's the MIA Bar Complex, the opening event for the elite teams here on day 2 of Wodapalooza. Glad you're with us today, everyone. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez. Jamie Hagia is on the competition floor. Time to slang some weight.
I mean, you just described a perfect Friday morning, afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Overall standings, we got a little bit of a shakeup after that last workout yesterday night.
9 points separating Team Krieger from Team GOWOD. The top 3 very tight. Krieger a great day 1, earning a possible 200 points out of 200 points. This one has come down to that final barbell, 205 pounds, the last barbell in this 3-part event.
Yep, hang cleans, front squat, shoulder to overhead. Very classic CrossFit barbell complex, but 963 on the reps. And as you said, Sean, increasing weight, and that last barbell has proven tricky for quite a few teams.
Overall leaders will be right in the middle of the floor. Team Krieger will be in lane 16. Mayfem will be right next to them. And then in lane 18, a team that you think is positioned very well to make a move here on day number 2.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see if they take the overall win, because they have 2 very accomplished lifters on their squad. This team GOWOD, you see Mia Hesketh in the blue sunglasses. I mean, she is one of the strongest women in CrossFit typically. She's one of the first women to snatch 100 kilos. She's got a massive clean and jerk north of 240. And behind her, Sol Sigurdsdottir, a competitive weightlifter in Iceland, also a tremendous CrossFitter as well. Both of them love the heavy barbell.
Julie Hogard looks like she will be out first to start things off. 9 reps of the hang cleans, front squats, and shoulder overhead at 185 pounds. Time to beat Freakin' Fitness. Did that in heat number 2, 4 minutes, 1 second. Now you can divide this work up however you want.
And that is very key here, because sharing isn't caring. You don't have to split it up evenly. You can lean on your heavy hitters if you need to, and that's going to be smart to minimize transitions. And listen, if you're a classic rap fan, I don't care what Eric B. and Rakeem may have told you to not sweat the technique or don't sweat the technique. You need to here, because there's going to come a point where you have to transition from maybe a hang clean to a full clean, from a push jerk to a split jerk, and knowing when and how to employ that is going to be huge.
So Mia Hesketh working her way through the front squat portion of this event. Mayfem there in the middle of your screen. That's Andrea Nisler, who is in that bright yellow shirt. And then next to them is Team Krieger, the team that is your overall leader. And that's Lena Richter on the barbell, as now Taylor Williamson takes over at 185.
And they are going to blast through these first 2. The big question is, what is going to be Haley's contribution to this? Is she going to sit back, maybe just get a few reps here and there, give Williamson and Nisler a break, because they are very accomplished weightlifters. You can see how easily Williamson is moving that barbell overhead. And maybe conserving a little bit of energy for that last barbell might be key.
GOWOD now is moving on to the 195-pound barbell. Julie Hogard closed out their round of 9. Now here comes Haley Adams and Andrea Nisler moving on to 195 as well. Let's send it down to Jamie Higia with more on Mayfem.
I was able to talk to Tasha Persevich, who is Haley Adams' coach, and she said that although her 1 rep max clean and jerk is around 220, she is very proficient in hang cleans and shoulder to overhead. So not so much look for Andrea and Taylor to take over those front squats, but Haley can contribute a ton, moving her high percentage very efficiently.
Andrea Nisler now working through the hang cleans. GOWOD in the middle of your screen. That's Sol Sigurdsdottir, who with a no rep now on the shoulder to overhead. So they have 4 reps remaining on that part of the event. So they are just ahead of Mayfem as Nisler.
And look at Julie Hogard being able to transition to that split jerk right away. That's one of the things I was talking about earlier. Knowing when to employ the proper technique based on the loading is going to be huge, and right now GOWOD is cruising.
3 blind mice on the right of your screen. Keep an eye on them. They're also on that 195-pound barbell, and they are on the shoulder to overhead portion as well. And now GOWOD has moved on to 205. Mia Hesketh quickly through the 3 hang power cleans, and now hits 1 front squat. Here comes Sol Sigurdsdottir. Sigurdsdottir moving very well. And now on to the shoulder to overhead. 4:01 is the time to beat, and that is looking like it is going to go down here. 1 rep remains for GOWOD. Sigurdsdottir locks that out, and they will get the event win. 3:11 unofficially for GOWOD.
Tremendous effort from Sol at the end there. You saw her first 2 jerks were push jerks. Took a little bit of a beat before that last rep, switched to the split jerk, and it was enough to get through that last jerk without failing any reps, and they walk away as the event winner.
And GOWOD is in position now to take over 2nd place, depending on what happens with Mayfem. Mayfem only had a 3-point lead on GOWOD. That is just 1 spot in an event result, as Taylor Williamson is now done. Williamson is in, so they will take 2nd in the event, and now they will be tied unofficially in points with GOWOD. Krieger now needs to worry about surrendering 1st place to GOWOD, and Krieger still on the floor. Kristen Holta with a no rep, and Freakin' Fitness's time will now be 3rd. So that means that Krieger will surrender at least 6 points, and we could have a 3-way tie here on top of the leaderboard, depending on what happens.
And this was going to be a damage control event for Team Krieger. We mentioned this in the leadoff show to start the day, that, you know, compared to some of the other heavy hitters, this isn't going to be their best event. So to be able to hang tough and not give up too much ground, still maybe putting together top 5, top 10 performance with them will be just enough.
And Krieger is across, and I think that will be good enough to at least salvage a tie, because other time that could have factored in was 5:06 from the prior heat. So Krieger gets inside of that, so we could have a three-way tie on top of the overall standings, depending on how this all shakes out.
It looks like Fleo is across. See Kelsey Keel there.
Yeah, no surprise there. That's an athlete who is really good with a barbell in her hands. 8-minute time cap. At GOWOD picking up their first event win of the competition. They have yet to finish lower than third in any event.
And Madison McElhenney with 3 blind mice. Getting close to closing out. You can see the separation in skill and strength from the first heat to the last. Just how many teams have already finished underneath the 6-minute mark. Looking like a majority of the teams are going to get in under the time cap.
It's like Team Yerbay and the Born Primitive Underdogs also got across as well.
See some of these athletes stoked to get through this event.
Yeah, as daunting as that last barbell is, I think a lot of teams are just looking, like you said, just to get through it, do a little damage control, and move on here. Omnia getting across the finish line. There's JST Compete. JST Compete coming in 15th place overall. Best finish was a 10th in event number 2. Now less than 90 seconds to go, and looks like there's only just one team on the floor. And you look at the crowd here, it's Friday.
Yeah. I have a feeling, Sean, a lot of people are, in quotes, working remote this weekend for Friday.
Team Yerbay got across. Misspoke earlier. I thought they were across the finish line, but they were still on the floor. So they have finished, and that means that every team in the final heat does get in inside that 8-minute time cap, but a huge win for Team GOWOD. 3 minutes, 11 seconds unofficially for them. Mayfem will take second, and then Team Krieger unofficially will take third. And if that is the case, very likely we could have a 3-way tie atop the overall standings between Krieger, Mayfem, and GOWOD.
And from the outset, all eyes were on GOWOD. They've got some accomplished lifters in their ranks and making quick work. Julie Hogard, former individual games athlete, nice and smooth through the early rounds. Haley Adams showing some increased strength, being able to hang power clean that middle barbell. But when it came down to it, it was all GOWOD. Sol Sigurdardottir taking the extra beat and switching the technique to the split jerk for that final rep. Smart, efficient technique gets them the event win.
Here are your heat results, and the top 3 will be the top 3 in the event. So Team GOWOD will pick up 100 points. Mayfem unofficially will get 97, and then Krieger, finishing third, will get 94. And as I said earlier, very likely we could have a 3-way tie atop the women's overall standings. Let's send it down to Jamie Hagia, who is with your event winners.
I'm here with the winners, and Julie, you have experience in European and World Olympic lifting. How did you guys bring that to this event?
I mean, it's really an advantage when you know you have to wait for like 20 minutes before starting to lift. So that's the same in the weightlifting meets as well. And then just knowing the movements, like you can do them and you can do this weight like over and over again is really important. So.
And Mia, you had a baby 1 year ago. That is amazing, your strength, your display of strength. What did it take for you to come back to this level of competition?
I mean, I took it quite easy to start off with. I think it's easy to, wanted to get back to heavyweights really quick, but I tried to stay calm and build out slowly and trust that the weights would come back when my body was ready.
And finally, Sol, that you were the one who brought this team home. What was going through your mind in those final 3? Oh, shoulder to overhead.
Don't like Julie do one shoulder to overhead. No, it was, I just wanted to see if I could do it. And I knew the time from the previous heat, and I knew we were right at that time. So I was like, I have to send it if we're going to win.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
And after 3, it is all tied up in points. Krieger does have the tiebreak, though, because they do have 2 event wins, but 291 points for Krieger, GOWOD, and Mayfem. As we are through 3 events here at Wodapalooza. Plenty more action to come. The women will step aside. The men will be up next. We'll have light coverage of the opening heat. Tommy and I will be back for heat number 2. So stay with us, everybody, as day 2 of Wodapalooza continues.
What does it take? How do I train? What do I eat? How much do I sleep? How do I react? What if this happens? What if that happens? It all adds up. It's not about what I do. It's about what I don't do. No excuses. No shortcuts. No gimmicks. No tomorrows. No bull.
Entertaining all the player hating imitators who imitate us, simulators, but they can't debate us. Why even losing? You can see that I'm a winner, baby. Y'all just don't know the places I go. I've got my flow, my gut, my soul, my whole inside's alive with that glow. Y'all just don't know the places I go. I've got my flow, my gut, my soul, my whole inside's alive with that glow. Y'all just don't know.
reps of hang cleans, front squats, and shoulder to overhead. Down to 6. And finishing up with 3. Well, we got 3 separate barbells. That first barbell, 275 pounds. Center of the competition floor, 295 pounds. And finishing up 3 reps with 315 pounds. An 8-minute time cap, Noah. Very excited for this. Mike, hey, listen. I know they are elite athletes, but 315 seems excessive Official 6, 3, 2. Team Ohio League. Ohio League. Point front, put on this in Mike. 100 seconds. Crowd, I told you they were going to need your help. I told you, where are you? 1 minute to go. 1 rep to go for Team Conquer. Down to lane number 2, Team Conquer, with plenty of time to spare, 7:10. Let's go, man. Let's go, man. 30 seconds. Crowd, if you're ready for that time, show some love. Now's the time to do it. Come on. Team Ohio Elite trying to finish up. Vinny Matita moving strong through those front squats, trying to go right into those overheads. Let's go, Team Ohio. 15 seconds. Ohio Elite trying to get it done. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2, 1, time. Oh my goodness, Mike. 4 minutes, 24 seconds. I'd still be on the very first rep, Mike. I'm still deciding whether this should be a deadlift ladder for me.
No excuses. No shortcuts. No gimmicks. 10 seconds. No tomorrows. In 3, 2, 1, go! They are off, guys. You got 2 crews starting right now. You got your 0 to 7 minutes, establishing a 3
2 minutes. All right, here we go. Heat number 2. That's the lead division. The competition for heading down to lane number 1. The Greenhouse. Lane number 2, MND Warriors. Lane number 3, Team Slightly Swole. Lane number 4, JST Compete. Lane number 5, Team Blueprint Trading. 90 seconds athletes.
It's Friday at Wodapalooza, day 2 of competition here at Bayfront Park in Miami, Florida, and we are glad you are with us, everybody. Sean Woodland alongside Tommy Marquez. Jamie Hagia is down on the competition floor. 2 events yesterday, 2 more events today, and we kick things off with the MIA Bar Complex.
Who doesn't love a little barbell complex to kick off their weekend? 963 on the reps, hang cleans, front squats, shoulder to overhead. Each time they get a little bit heavier, starting at 275 and ending with 3 wheels, 315 on the final barbell.
And you can divide that work up however you want. Your lane assignments for this second of 3 heats. This is the way they will be lined up on the floor, but just know for technical purposes that the lanes have been increased by 10. So lane number 1 is now lane 11, and lane number 13 is now lane number 23. In lane 13, is a team that's trying to work their way up the overall standings. Slightly Swole, they come in 21st place overall. This could be a great opportunity for them to score some points.
No doubt. The two men standing behind the lead. Mark Hutchinson on your left in the red shorts, and then Jacob Pfaff in the back. Pfaff has a listed clean and jerk of 385. Hutchinson has a listed clean and jerk of 375. So they're likely going to lead with Evan Rogers here on the opening barbell, and then they're going to do some work on the heavy bar.
We are underway. The time to beat from the previous heat, Mook Performance, 4:44.95 seconds.
Like we saw with the women, that the heats only got faster, so this one is going to be over quick.
Great crowd already on hand here early on Friday. Can't wait to see what it's going to look like on the weekend.
It's one of the great things about Wodapalooza. People traveling from near and far come celebrate fitness in an awesome location here at Bayfront Park.
All the teams still on that first 275-pound barbell. That's Niccolo Colli for the Minutemen, I believe, who's on the barbell right there.
I see a hand in the air. That looks like CrossFit Resurrection.
There is Slightly Swole. That's Mark Hutchinson on the shoulder to overhead as they are trying to close out this first barbell. And now Hutchinson will trade off to Jacob Pfaff.
Look how easily Jacob Pfaff push jerking those final few reps. Slightly Swole, you know, for the lighter barbell, they decided to break it up a little bit more frequently than some other teams we saw in the first heat, maybe trying to conserve some energy for that final rep.
So the Minutemen are on the right. They, along with Slightly Swole, are onto the 295-pound barbell. Here comes Jamie Heaton to work on those hang cleans. And it's Mark Hutchinson for Slightly Swole on the left side of your screen at 295 on the hang cleans. Tristan Majorano back on the barbell for the Minutemen.
The Minutemen had a strong performance in the Echo and Fran event last night, cracking the top 10, finishing 8th. So another strong performance here. Keep him climbing up the leaderboard, could potentially punch him into the top 10 overall.
They're in 14th place after 2 events, 113 total points. They are 27 points back of Sam Sorella-men, who sit in 10th right now. The Minutemen on the right, Slightly Swole on the left. Time to beat again, 4:44.95 seconds from Mook Performance in heat number 1.
We saw, you know, ooh, close one there with Evan.
Evan Rogers bailing out of that.
Thankfully, able to get out of the way. We saw in the women's heats, it all came down to kind of the final jerk and that heavy barbell. You can see some athletes, you know, like Evan struggling already with the shoulder to overhead. Looks like Jacob opting for the split jerk early. You know, that could be the difference maker.
Jacob Pfaff and Slightly Swole are trying to stay ahead of the team on the right, the Minutemen, who have just 2 shoulder to overhead remaining now. Majorano back on the barbell for his team on the right side. It's Mark Hutchinson on the left for Slightly Swole. And they are now done as Slightly Swole with the 295-pound barbell, now up to 315, and Hutchinson's going to get right to work on that. 3 hang cleans, 3 front squats, and 3 shoulder to overhead. Down in lane number 20, Training Think Tank. They're in those dark shirts. They are on the 315-pound barbell as well. So the time to beat for Mook Performance is going to stand going into heat number 3. 4:44.95 seconds will still be the top time.
Man, that's an impressive performance from Mook Performance.
Jimmy Woodard is on the right of your screen for Training Think Tank. They're already on the shoulder to overhead. The Training Think Tank looking to lock up a heat win here. And now here comes Brian Wong with that backwards hat. They have, I think, just 1 rep left on the shoulder to overhead, and now Wong can't make the clean. Back over to slightly swole. Mark Hutchinson continues to work at the 315-pound bar. Hutchinson just can't lock out the shoulder to overhead. He'll hand things off to Jacob Pfaff. Now Brian Wong on the right of your screen for Training Think Tank. Does get the clean. Now he's got to get the shoulder to overhead. Wong just can't stabilize it. Meanwhile, Gridhouse,
the Minutemen
they are creeping up as well. They're down in lane 11.
This is playing out just like we saw in the women's heats. That final jerk can be tricky, opening up the door for some teams who maybe pace it just a little bit better.
The Training Think Tank got in. I think that's Gridhouse who came across. The Minutemen are in. And Slightly Swole has finished up as well.
Man, that really turned into a cluster at the end.
Training Think Tank unofficially 6 minutes. Their official score being told now 6 minutes, .99 seconds.
Army Warrior Fitness Team. On the west side, 315.
So I think it was the LND Warriors who came across. This looks like it's the Gridhouse. They're on the far end of the floor. So they still have some work to do on that 315-pound barbell. JST Compete is on the right side of your screen. More teams starting to get to that final barbell. 8-minute time cap here, so now about 30 seconds to go before we hit that. That's a Vander Harewood for GST, and now here comes Philroy Peters to try to get these final 2 reps. He sets the barbell up for Sean Hardwick. So Hardwick now. 2 shoulder to overhead remaining for JST Compete. And Hardwick cannot stabilize that. The U.S. Army Warrior Fitness Team, they are in. And they just sneak in inside the time cap. So Training Think Tank is going to win the heat. 6 minutes, .99 seconds for them. But the top time is still from heat number 1 out of Mook Performance, 4:44.95 seconds as we head into the 3rd and final heat.
If I'm not mistaken, Mike, for the belt.
And early on, a couple teams that we had our eyes on, including Slightly Swole, moved out into the front, but the Minutemen coming off an 8th place performance last night, caught a little tailwind in that middle round. Mark Hutchinson making quick work of the hang cleans. They were one of the first teams to get to that final barbell, but on the final barbell, we saw a push from the crew from Training Think Tank out of Alpharetta, Georgia. And as we saw with the women's division, that final jerk proved to be tricky for a lot of teams. We're seeing the no reps pile up on the shoulder to overhead. But switching to the split jerk was key for the final few teams to get across to the finish line. And even though they were under the time cap, they couldn't beat the top score from the previous heat.
And 7 teams do get in inside that 8-minute time cap. U.S. Army Warrior Fitness Team, they were the last ones to finish. Training Think Tank, 6 minutes, .99 seconds. The LND Warriors by 10 seconds over the Minutemen for 2nd. 3rd and final heat coming up next. Packed house here at Bayfront Park in Miami, Florida, as day 2 of Wodapalooza continues. The third and final heat of event number 3 for the elite men's teams is up next. Thank you so much for being with us, everybody. Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez, Jamie Hagia down on the competition floor. Here are your overall standings after 2 events. The boys, the trio of Noah Olson, Travis Mayer, and Chandler Smith, they have a 6-point lead over the Thunder from Down Under. Invictus sits in 3rd. Rich Froning and Mayhem in Paradise had a stumble last night, a 17th in event number 2. They are in 7th, 45 points out. Heavy barbells finally being rolled out onto the floor for the teams.
Yep, and it's going to start at 275 and work up to 315. 3 cookies on each side. The reps go 9, 6, 3 in descending order of hang cleans, front squats, shoulder to overhead. You get to pick your poison here and split the reps however you like.
13 teams will be on the floor here. Overall leaders will be in the middle. Rich Froning and Luke Parker and Angelo DeChico will be in lane number 10. The boys will be working out of lane number 7. And a team with a couple of guys who just love a heavy barbell will be in lane number 3, which will be lane 13 on the floor. That's Team Hercules.
Yeah, a trio of individual games athletes, Roy Gamboa, Travis Williams, Logan Collins. They're going to make some noise, I think, here. Roy Gamboa, he can power snatch 300 pounds. So I think hang power cleaning, some of these early barbells might be smooth for him. And then when you need someone to go just full crazy mode, Travis Williams is your man.
And you mentioned this on the pre-show, but Mayhem in Paradise, they love this kind of training.
Yeah, they do a lot of shared barbell work for lifting sessions, you know, bro sessions, if you will, a little you go, I go. Interesting that Rich is hang squat cleaning from the get-go. Maybe he's using this as a warm-up for that final barbell, knowing that he's gonna have to pull under anyway, so just loosen up the legs just a tad.
There's so many names here. We're not gonna go. We'll get to the team names.
Froning gets through a handful of those 9 repetitions at the 275-pound bar. The time to beat is from heat number 1 from Mook Performance, 4:44.95 seconds. No one even got close to that in heat number 2 as you look at Noah Olson working on the front squats.
Impressive to see Noah working through this because, you know, one of the keys to performance here is, you know, you don't have to share everything evenly. You can split it up however you want. So, you know, lean into people's strengths here. Let them choose where they're going to be most successful and go with it. And you know what? Don't sweat the technique. You know what? You should sweat the technique because we've seen some athletes have to transition from various techniques in the hang clean and the shoulder to overhead, and being able to make that transition to, you know, maybe a split jerk instead of a push jerk is going to be very important here.
Noah Olson and the boys, they have just 2 reps remaining here on the shoulder to overhead at 275. Then they will move on to the 295-pound barbell. And Hercules moving as well. And Roy Gamboa got to work just before Travis Mayer. So your leaders, Hercules and the boys. 6 reps of each movement here, and Travis Mayer looks like he's going to do all 6 hang cleans by himself. There's Logan Collins at 295. Bottom right, Noah Olson onto the front squats.
Nice transition from Logan. You saw him do the first hang clean, had a little bit of a stanky leg there, didn't quite stabilize it as well as he would have liked, and immediately switches into the hang squat clean and is able to get through it and get into those front squats.
Team Hercules 8th place overall coming into this event as Travis Williams now takes over on the front squats at 295. Their best finish was a tie for 7th in the opening event. Then they had an 11th place finish in event number 2.
Easy work with the shoulder to overhead with Travis Williams. Able to maintain push jerks the entire time, even catching on the rebound on a few. And a good transition into the split.
Well, the boys have moved on to 315. Travis Mayer onto that. Here's Roy Gamboa. Those are the only 2 teams on the final barbell. And Mayer has gotten through the 3 hang cleans, and now it's through 2 front squats. And he's going to do 6 of the 9 total reps in this round. Here comes Noah Olson, just has to knock out 3 shoulder to overheads. 4 minutes, 44.95 seconds. Take a look at Noah's heart rate. He's wearing one of those whoop straps just at 118.
Nice and steady. He's been able to, maximize the rest in between sets, keep that heart rate low, and dial in the shoulder to overhead.
1 rep down for Olson. Travis Williams, meanwhile, is on the front squats for Hercules. They're trying to catch up to the boys. Here comes Chandler Smith. That's the second one for the boys. And that's rep number 3, and another event win for Noah Olson, Chandler Smith, and Travis Mayer.
Only 1 more rep for Hurt.
Gamboa cannot lock that one out. Thunder from down under, they're also on the final barbell. As are a couple of other teams as well, so Hercules starting to feel a little bit of the pressure here. They can still finish second in this event if they can lock out one of these shoulder to overheads. Now back to Williams. And we have another team that has come across. I believe that was 2.5 men, the spelling version of it. We have 2 teams with that name. So they're going to take second in the event. Mook Performance now drops to 3rd. Gamboa has it, he's in, and right next to them was Sam Sorella-Man. And we'll have to see who won that race.
Again, it all came down to that last jerk. Roy Gamboa was able to knock out the first 2, struggled on the 3rd, and then we had failed attempts by both Travis Williams.
This is the other 2.5 men team. That's Willie George.
That looks like the French GOWOD team. Interesting choice of headwear. I think sticking to their Parisian roots.
Yes, this is the French GOWOD team. Willie George, Lucas Weze, and Alexander Pinsol, and they are in. And yeah, going with some interesting attire.
Well, good to see Willie George be able to handle that shoulder to overhead coming off of a major shoulder surgery sitting out last year. Josh Alchama from the Invictus team. The plan was for him to handle most of this final barbell. Beautiful technique on the split jerk.
And they are in as Alchama hits that last shoulder to overhead. 8-minute time cap here. Most of the times in this heat will be in the top 10 of the event. Now, Mayhem and Paradise once again finding themselves towards the back of the pack in their heat. They were 7th place overall coming in, 45 points out of 1st place. That deficit may now increase. And DeChico cannot lock that one out.
Really surprising to see them struggle here. Most of these athletes on any given day can make quick work of this. Mayhem just last week, when this workout was announced, posted a video of them working through this, doing some of the shoulder overhead as well. And clearly the fatigue from the first 2 events, maybe from the week so far, starting to catch up, and they just haven't been able to get through this final barbell.
Here's Luke Parker as more teams are finishing and taking points away from Mayhem and Paradise. So 1 remaining. Parker's going to make another go. And he will hit it. So Mayhem and Paradise is across. But not the result they were looking for here.
Yeah, just an uncharacteristic performance. Even seeing Rich fail at that 315 barbell.
The training culture is in the black tops. And they're trying to sneak in inside the time cap here, and they will do it.
I gotta say, you can see in the background the French GOWOD team. I absolutely love their outfit. Lean into your culture, man.
Chandler Smith, Travis Mayer, and Noah Olson picking up their 2nd straight event win. They have yet to finish lower than 2nd And they are on a tear right now.
And the question was, coming into this heat, was someone going to be able to beat Mook's performance that held up from the very first heat of this event? And you know, Chandler Smith, the crew from the boys, getting together, making quick work of the early barbell, no problem there. Herc moved up into the front. Hercules, Logan Collins, Travis Williams, Roy Gamboa looked like they might be able to steal the heat. But then the buzzsaw that is Chandler Smith. And Travis Mayer actually did a good portion of the work on that final barbell. Chandler able to close the door with those final few jerks, and it's another event when you can see them fired up.
The boys at 3:47.37 seconds, the only team to go sub 4 minutes. They pick up another event win, earn 100 points. 2.5 men will finish in second. Team Hercules just sneaking in ahead of Mook Performance's top time to take third in the event, as did Sam Sorella-Man. Jamie Hagia is with Travis Mayer, Chandler Smith, and Noah Olson.
That's right. Noah, this was a repeat. We have seen this complex here before. What were your thoughts when this workout was announced?
You know, especially, I just want to get those out of the way. Man, honestly, we were probably the most nervous about this workout of the ones that we've done so far, but we are such a good team just from a bonding perspective. I was doubting myself a lot in the back, and both of these guys were like, hey, you are stronger than you think, you got this, and they were right. We ended up surprising ourselves, and it was awesome.
Chandler, saying that you guys were nervous coming into this, how did you guys decide to break up the reps?
So we had a plan going in, but there's the old Mike Tyson quote about everybody having a plan to get punched in the mouth, and the 295 shoulder overhead punched me in the mouth, so it was cool. We knew we could rely on Travis. He's the strongest guy in the group, but Noah came in and did some more work on the 315, and that allowed us to get through kind of when the plan went off. So it was a combination of having a plan going in and then just trusting that the guys around you were able to fill in whenever you couldn't step up.
Travis, on that final barbell at 315, you did all 3 hang cleans and all 3 front squats. How did that feel?
Oh, it felt great. You know, the adrenaline, the excitement of the crowd, everybody cheering. Like, you're in the back warming up, and you're like, man, this feels heavy. But when you're out here and you hear this is worth it. This is what makes it fun. So that's what got me through. So thank all of you guys for cheering us on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
2 wins in 3 events for the boys. They have 297 points. Thunder from Down Under, they stay in second. They are now 21 points back. 2.5 Men sits in third by 12 points over Invictus, and Team Hercules, they move into 5th. Meanwhile, Mayhem in Paradise goes from 7th down to 10th. They are 102 points back of the boys for first, so they have a lot of work to do, but still, the majority of the competition remains. We are going to take a break and be back with elite individual competition in a few hours. The men will lead things off, then followed by the women. Hope you're enjoying our coverage of day 2 of Wodapalooza here in Miami. Stick around, everybody. More action to come.
excuses. No shortcuts. No gimmicks. No tomorrows.
Already starting to work on those second barbells. Devin O'Neill moving forward. Celis moving forward.
Let's go, gentlemen. Wodapalooza and Metallica and a heavy barbell. That's what dreams are made of.
Looking for 2 reps.
Nobody called me out on that. That's Pantera. Let's go, guys. Griffin Royale looking strong. 295 overhead. He's going to chalk up and move to that 315, ladies and gentlemen. Your fella in lane 2022 as you see it. Only 90 seconds in and is already at 315.
Griffin, the first one to touch up.
Griffin in the hang. He's got the squat clean. He's got the front squat. Ladies and gentlemen, where are you? Unbroken on the complex. Griffin Royale. Unofficial 1-5-7. Fabian Celis. Oh, watch out.
Riley Good. Chalking up, moving on to that 315 barbell. Adam Davison as well.
Gentlemen, 2.5 in, 2.5 to go.
Davison, clean is good. Front squat's good. Barbell on the shoulders and able to press it out. That'll do it for Davison unofficially, 242.
Fabian Celis, Mike. He's gonna make another attempt at 315 shoulder overhead. He's got the split jerk. Can he lock it? He locks it out. He unofficial 256.
Riley Good just a moment before. 3 minutes in, 2 minutes remaining. Devin O'Neill will finish up.
I'm looking at Chris Shimley. Chris Shimley. Oh! Hesitant on the split jerk. 90 seconds.
Kaike down in lane number 1. Clean is good, front squat's good, overhead, pressed out. That'll do it for Kaike, unofficially 345.
One minute. Heavy metal music, heavy barbells, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get Chris Shimley under this barbell. And Chris Shimley finishes unofficial 415.
45 seconds remain. Peter Mason back onto the final barbell. Unable to dig out of that hole.
30 seconds. Ben Boulanger. Josh Woodall.
Gervais will finish up. 10 seconds, fellas, 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2, 1, time.
Good show, good show. Griffin Roel takes the heat win. Good job, Griffin. Griffin Roel, 1:57, Mike. 1 minute, 57 seconds.
It's the opening event for the individuals on day 2 of competition here at Wodapalooza in Bayfront Park in Miami, Florida. I'm Sean Woodland with Bill Grundler. Jamie Hagia is down on the competition floor. Event 3, it's called a complex, but it is pretty simple and very heavy.
Complexly heavy, we'll just say that right there. You see those sets of 3, sets of 2, sets of 1. Of that, hang cleans into front squats, into shoulder overhead. We increase that weight every single time. And like we've seen with the teams, this weight is heavy, and that short bar is really putting some problems for a lot of athletes out there.
Here are your lane assignments for the second of 3 heats. The time to beat belonged to Griffin Raleigh out of the prior heat, 158.06 seconds. And that's going to be tough to beat for anybody.
I just really feel, I mean, I knew that Griffin was going to do great on this, and that was one of the things that we were talking about. But if you look down at the bottom of your lanes there, lane number 14, Anthony Davis, Griffin himself said that he was going to be one of the stronger athletes, but Spencer Panchik is another athlete that I have to be looking forward to this. One, he's got that Panchik. I'm sure we're going to see a little bit of that Panchik bounce, but he's got a listed clean and jerk at 365 pounds. Very strong. He's in a great spot. I know he's not in that top heat where he wants to be, but I think this will be a great event for him.
And Anthony Davis is a guy that we saw last year at the Granite Games really throw around a heavy barbell.
I mean, he's kind of strong. His clean and jerk is listed at 410 pounds. So Griffin Rowley actually talked about Anthony Davis and said, if there's anyone out there that I think is going to be stronger than me, it's going to be Anthony.
Stand by.
Second of 3 heats is underway, 5-minute time cap. 275 pounds on the opening barbell, then 295, then 315. 3 reps of the hang clean, then 3 front squats, and 3 shoulder overhead on this opening barbell. Then the reps go down to 2 at 295, and then 1 final rep of each movement at 315.
And Anthony Davis showing us exactly how strong he is repping through this. Now, this is one of the things you have to remember. The weight does increase, and even though it's basically, I mean, we want to call it a sprint. We saw what Griffin did in the earlier heat, but this weight is heavy, and every one of those reps will compound into that next set as you move up the ladder.
Anthony Davis was first to the 295-pound barbell. Saxon Panchik, a couple rows down, was the second man there. And I believe Nick Matthew at the other end of the floor was third. There's Saxon Panchik on the left side of your screen. And now Davis is to the final barbell, 315, 158.06. That's the time to beat from Griffin Rowley in heat 1, and Davis misses his first clean.
And I think that was actually a smart move to go to the squat clean rather than try and power clean. We've seen a lot of athletes earlier, they just kind of stumble around as they're trying to get themselves under that bar. But just get yourself under that bar. You don't have to pull it up as high. Go to that squat position.
I knew it was bound to happen. The Panchik we looked at prior was Spencer Panchik and not Saxon. Saxon's in the green shirt there in the middle of your screen behind Anthony Davis. And now the final rep for Davis. Can't lock it out, but he does save it here. He can make another run at this. Davis will make that.
Oh my God.
Fights through it, and he's going to have the new time to beat. 146 unofficially for Anthony Davis. 12 seconds better than Griffin Rowley. Here's Saxon Panchik.
And Saxon just really fighting through that bottom. I mean, that wasn't necessarily even the prettiest position, but man, that's a lot of strength to be able to hold that bar on those shoulders. Whoa, my
missing the final lift. 5-minute time cap here, so plenty of time remains. Nick Matthew, meanwhile, on the left side of the floor, is onto the final barbell. Drew Wayman is getting set to move there as well. Nick Matthew is on the far left of your screen in that crop top. Next to him is Drew Wayman. Jorge Fernandez is on the far right side. He's getting ready to go to the 315-pound barbell. Matthew made his clean as Panchik stands it up. Matthew missing the jerk. Drew Wayman next to him is Saxon Panchik is stuck on the shoulder to overhead. Wayman's going to take a break. Reggie Fossa just finished. He's in those gray pants. 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes to go before we hit the 5-minute time cap.
Spencer looks tough in those neon shorts. Look at that.
Well, Spencer Panchik is across. 3:23 for Spencer. 90 seconds to go here. Now Saxon Panchik still trying to get that final shoulder to overhead. And that one will count. And Saxon is in at 3:36.
Nice lockout. You see he just had a much better sitting position. Got himself underneath that bar. Didn't waste a lot of energy going into that jerk.
There's Drew Wayman looking to close out his event. And Drew will make it.
Great fight. Even with a slight bend in the arm, that takes, man, that's so much harder when you can't get your arms locked out.
And Nick Matthews still struggling at 315 and taking his frustrations out on the barbell. Jorge Fernandez is still at 315. Handful of men still on the competition floor. Udas Ukniks is one of them. He's in the right side in the green shirt and black belt. Jeremy Vigneault is a man who just stood up 315 on the right side of your screen. Less than 30 to go. Vino can't make the jerk, pardon me.
So you got to remember, Sean, we have a lot of reps at this heavyweight, but then it's a lot of time under tension. So you saw what Vino did on that one. I think he just sat under the bar too long. The last place I won 315 pounds is to be sitting on my shoulders for longer than 2 seconds.
Jorge Fernandez will get it inside the 5-minute time. Got Nick Matthew as well, sneaking in. Final seconds. And Vino's just not going to have enough time to make another run. But Anthony Davis, despite missing his first clean at 3:15, is 12 seconds better than Griffin Raleigh. Davis at 1:46 now has the time to beat with 1 heat remaining.
And we knew that Anthony Davis was going to be strong in this particular event. I tell you what, I just wasn't sure how strong he was going to look. It wasn't the first set of barbells that he had to move through. It was the way that he was able to handle that last bar. So we started off, came out very confident, looked very strong as he grabbed that barbell and just moved through the first set without any sort of issue. And we've got to remember, that's a short bar. And the difference with that short bar is there's no flex. So you can't use that bounce that you normally are used to having. This is just pure strength. We saw how much this barbell just absolutely crushed and buried people into the floor. And athletes that had very strong numbers were still struggling. But this is what impressed me. Dropped it to his shoulders and was able to stay back into it. And look at the arms bent there. And that was pure strength getting it up there. That wasn't a technique thing. That dude is just strong.
Your results for the second of 3 heats. It's Anthony Davis now your new top time, 1:46.27 seconds. Tyler Christoffel will finish second in the heat. Reggie Fossa is third, and then Spencer Panchik edging out his twin brother Saxon. Griffin Raleigh now has the second best time at 1:58. Quick break. We'll be back with the third and final heat of the MIA Bar Complex for the men. A lot of heavy things being moved around here in Miami today, on the water and on the competition floor. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Sean Woodland and Bill Grundler here in the booth. Jamie Hagia is down on the competition floor as the second day of action continues here in Wodapalooza. Your overall standings after day number 1, 2 events down. Pat Vellner has your overall lead, but by just 3 points over Dallin Pepper and by just 6 over Phil Toon. So still very close on top of the overall standings with Alexander Carone and Jason Hopper rounding out the top 5. Event 3, the MIA Bar Complex.
And it's heavy, and it really comes down to what that last bar is going to do. All the athletes are able to get to that point, but how are they going to handle that last bar? And that's what it really ends up being.
And strategy comes into play here, and having a good plan. And for more on that, let's go down to Jamie Hagia.
Like Bill said, this final barbell is heavy, but with the reps being at 3, 2, 1, this is going to be a fast event in this really strong field of men. So what we're looking for is for them to push that pace, but they have to be careful that they get enough rest because a miss will be detrimental. So making sure you can push it, but still manage your fatigue.
Thank you, Jamie. Here are your lane assignments for this third and final heat. Your overall leaders will all be right next to each other. Dallin Pepper, Pat Vellner, and Phil Toon, your top 3 athletes in the overall standings. Jason Hopper also inside the top 5 along with Alexander Carone. Phil Toon, a bit of a surprise towards the top, but it is early.
You know, it is early, but I think this is going to be a great event for him. Very strong character, 575-pound back squat. So I'm expecting to see a big event for him here.
Final heat is underway. 1:46.27 seconds from Anthony Davis. That is your top time. The second best time, 1:58 from Griffin Raleigh.
Now, this is a very important event for these athletes. It's not about being the absolute strongest. You definitely need it. But these are the 90%ers. And the reason I say that is your fastest aren't always going to be your strongest. Your strongest aren't always going to be your fastest. But this will come down to that heavy hang clean at the end. how you handle that bar, where you get it set up on that front rack, because do you have enough energy from that to get into that jerk?
Phil Toon is on to the 295-pound barbell. Pat Vellner right next to him is there, and Jason Hopper in the white shirt chalking up his hands. Toon is already through the 2 hang power cleans, and now on to the front squat to take a look at his heart rate. Wearing one of the Whoop straps, just at 156, and he is through the 295-pound barbell. Chalk it up, and he'll move to 315.
And you can see that right at this point, you're bringing that heart rate down, but it's not really a heart rate thing. This is about, okay, I need to make sure that my musculature can handle this as we get into these heavier barbells. If they had a bad front squat or something that got them a little deeper than they wanted to be, then that's a lot of use out of those legs, those big muscles. They need to make sure that they can recover from that.
Toon missing his first clean. He's running out of time to track down Anthony Davis and get an event win here. You saw Tim Paulson, who just finished up 295. Paulson's moving to 315 as well. Now here goes Toon, second attempt, and he will hit his clean. Now 1 front squat and 1 shoulder to overhead remains, and it looks like Anthony Davis is going to hang on. Toon is going to take second. Griffin Raleigh now moves to third. So Toon, depending on what Vellner does here, as Colton Mertens comes across, Toon could find himself in first place. Vellner hits the jerk. Paulson will stick his lift. Tim Paulson comes in, and now here comes Dallin Pepper.
That was an incredible finish for all those athletes and a lot of strength. I tell you what, Toon just blew my mind. That was a powerful lift, and the way it bounced off his front rack into that, holy cow, that guy's strong.
Phil Toon trailed Pat Vellner by 6 points in the overall standings. I think there are 2 people between Toon and Vellner as Alexander Caron spills across the finish line. So Phil Toon may be at least tied, if not 3 points up on Vellner after 3 events. Jason Hopper is done. Still a few athletes left on the competition floor.
You can
Sam Cornway is in the black. Pardon me, Bill.
You can see just how important that front rack position is. If that bar is not perfectly against your neck, especially with this heavy weight, after doing that number of reps, you're just not going to be able to have the power to come on up, unless you're someone like Anthony Davis that can just stand up out of anything. But that's so important. So you see how important that hang clean is, and even if you go into that squat clean, to rearrange that front rack. Look at that. You just saw it again. Elbows drop down, that bar's coming down.
That's Matt Poulin in the red top. Here goes Cole Sager on the left side of your screen. Sam Cornway has hit his jerk, and Cole Sager now just can't get out of the hole. Alex Vigneault is in the blue shirt on the right side of your screen. He's still on the competition floor. We have about a minute left before we hit that 5-minute time cap.
And for a lot of these athletes now, it becomes that balance of, okay, how long do I really wait? I need to wait, otherwise it's not coming up. But how long do I want to go? You have to make sure you don't let the race dictate that. You got to make sure that you're ready to hit it.
Matt Poulin will lock that out, and he gets in inside that 5-minute time cap. Vigneault still struggling at 3:15. Now here's Cole Sager with another attempt. Sager just can't make the jerk.
And that's what's so difficult, is when you only have that last jerk left to go. I mean, now you are doing a complex. You are going to be doing your clean into your squat and having to come back up to get that jerk.
Alex Vigneault just trying to get in inside that time cap. There were quite a few men who got capped. Vigneault can't hit it. Cole Sager's not going to make another attempt, and that will do it. Anthony Davis will hang on for the event win. Phil Toon will win this heat and may very well find himself all by his lonesome on top of the overall standings after 3 events.
You know, when you look at the athletes that were able to finish that event quickly, there were some large characters, but this guy comes out 5'10", not overly, you just don't think he's going to be that dramatically strong. You know, guys like Tim Paulson just whipping that bar around. But we wanted to know what Toon was going to do, and he answered the call. Look at the way he just jumped right up to that. I mean, yeah, it's heavy. He did not make it look heavy, though. There was a lot of power in that guy.
And was able to collect himself after missing his first clean attempt. So Phil Toon at 148.20 seconds is going to take second place in the event. Colton Mertens will take third. Griffin Raleigh will take fourth. And then Pat Vellner at 2:08. So Phil Toon looks to be your overall leader after 3 events, and he is with Jamie Higia.
Phil, taking that heat win, what was it about this event that made it so great for you?
I like to lift heavy, simple as that.
Very simple. And was after that first miss at the final barbell at 315, what was going through your mind at that point?
I think I just rushed it a little. I was trying to wait, you know, because I had a few seconds on the competitors behind me. But I still rushed it a little bit, just gathered myself and tried to make the fix, which was missing it out in front, and hopefully get that lift.
Sitting in third coming into this event and getting this heat win, how are you feeling going into the rest of this competition?
Good. I mean, I'm just out here trying to prove to myself mainly that I belong here. I don't have any expectations besides that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Phil Toon may not have any expectations, but he might after this. As you take a look at Anthony Davis, who is your event winner. Phil Toon looks to be all by himself on top of the overall standings. The men are done. The women will be up next. We'll have light coverage of heat number 1. Bill and I will rejoin you for heat number 2. So stick around as action at Wodapalooza continues here on Friday.
My name is Dani Thorsdatter, 2 times CrossFit Games champion and 11 times CrossFit Games competitor. I have quite a busy lifestyle. I am an athlete, I run a business, and I'm a mom. So I wake up early in the morning and I want to have energy throughout the day. I have had some of the energy drinks out there, but I feel guilty and I feel uncomfortable with what I'm putting in my body, which is why it was a perfect find when I found Yerba. This drink is natural, there's no artificial sweeteners. The caffeine that's in it is diverted from nature, so there's no crazy high spike or crazy drop in it. I want people to be aware of what they're drinking, and I want people to feel good with what they put in their body, which is why I became an investor and part owner in this brand, because I want to bring this to the masses. I want to try to change the world.
No excuses. No shortcuts. No gimmicks. No tomorrows. tomorrows.
Sulik and Stefano, same time, 30-second mark. Moving on to that 195-pound barbell advantage, Sulik.
Zoe Warren in lane 21 onto the next barbell, as is Meg O'Donnell.
First overhead with 195. Olivia Sulik, a no rep for Stefano. Olivia Sulik onto that final 205-pound barbell. At the 110 marker, you're gonna waste no time, right to the barbell.
No time at all.
The clean is good. Front Front squat is good. Can she adjust? One overhead is all that's needed for Olivia Sulik, unable to hang on at the 129 mark. Here comes Kayla Stefano. Sulik, Stefano. Not the first time that they've battled together. Who's it gonna be? Both touching up. Advantage going to Stefano. Unable to hang on to the clean. Olivia Sulik now. The clean is good. Gonna pass through. Olivia Sulik. Just underneath that 2-minute marker.
Right you are, Mike. I'm looking at Meredith Swindle down here at 22. She's eyeing that 205.
Kayla Stefano now onto that final barbell, cleaned and ready to go. She'll go overhead. Give it up for Kayla Stefano.
Meredith Swindle. She's got the front squat. All we need is a shoulder to overhead. Oh, and she fails. Zoe Warren chalking up for 205. Elena Sanahua crosses the line well under the time cap. A battle at 205 for the ladies on the west side, Mike. Thais Nunes, Meredith Swindle, Zoe Warren, Medi Graneron. Come on, crowd. Come on, crowd. Meredith Swindle. Come on, Meredith. Ladies and gentlemen, Meredith Swindle. Across the line, unofficial 3.5. Thais Nunes across the line. Zoe Warren with the front squat. She's got to go shoulder to overhead. And Zoe Warren across the line, unofficial 349. Michelle Baston across the line. 1 minute to go. Let's go, ladies. Oh, and a no rep for Meg O'Donnell. Crowd. Medi Graneron gets it done. "30 seconds. Crowd, where are you? Let's help these ladies out. Kato. Let's go, girls. Let's go, girls. Oh. Kato.
10 seconds.
Across the line.
We're going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, time.
Well done, ladies. Mike. Was that Sulik? I believe that was.
That's correct, Olivia Sulik. It's so quiet. So quiet. Why is it so quiet?
Anybody from Texas here? 2 minutes. All right, here we go. Heading out to lane number 1, Christine Best. Lane number 2, Eco Burke. Lane number 3,
It's the third event for the individual elite women here at Bayfront Park on day 2 of Wodapalooza. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Bill Grundler. Jamie Hagia is down on the competition floor. The MIA Bar Complex presented by RomWod is up next.
And it is heavy. Look at those weights down at the bottom. They're 185, 195, 205 for the ladies. And you see that complex-ish of 3 hang cleans, the front squats and that shoulder overhead on that short bar.
13 women will be on the floor for this second of 3 heats, and 2 youngsters will be right next to each other in lanes 8 and 9, Paige Powers and Annika Greer.
I'm really anxious to see how these young ladies are going to be able to handle this. They're both 18 years old. Well, that's some pretty decent clean and jerks. I mean, the 1-rep maxes are over what they have here that they have to contend with. So I want to see how they're going to be able to handle themselves, you know, out here on the Miami floor. But right there, Annika Greer, you know, ready to set it up. Again, they're in the second heat of this overall competition with some of the big names out there. But again, 18 years old, we are looking at the future of the sport when we look to athletes like her. And then also right next to her, Paige Powers. I think it's really interesting that both of these athletes are able to be so young and they're right next to each other. So I want to see if they're going to be battling off each other, or if they're going to like not worry about that and just kind of do their own thing.
And pretty close in the overall standings. Paige Powers at 16th place overall, 122 total points. Annika Greer is in 18th at 107.
stand by.
Time to beat belongs to Olivia Sulek. 2 minutes, 0.48 seconds.
Now, one of the things I think it's real important about this event is you think it's just going to be all about the strong person, and I don't think that's really the case. These are more about your 90%ers. You need people that can handle the volume of sets of 9, sets of 6, sets of 3, but then also can hang with that heavyweight. So the 90% of the fast people, 90% of the strong people are going to be the best, but it's going to come down to that heavy hang clean at the end. Where you set that bar in that front rack is really going to dictate how that last front squat goes and how that last jerk goes.
Paige Powers and Annika Greer will be among the first women to that 195-pound barbell.
Caroline Connors at 13, approaching 195.
Again, you can see the prep that goes into that positioning before they go into that jerk, which is important. It's really important to not worrying about having to push that bar up overhead. You got to drive yourself down to get those arms locked out. Any sort of bend in that arm, that bar is going to come right back down.
I believe that's Maddie Edwards in the upper left-hand part of the screen, who's now on to the 205-pound barbell. Make that Taylor Howe. So Taylor Howe is in, 129 for her. And that will be the new time to beat.
We saw Annika Greer have a nice last jerk as she's approaching into that last bar, setting herself up. And this is one of the things. We have a 5-minute time cap for these ladies. They can utilize that time. Yes, they're in a race, but you really need to make sure that you have enough power to get into those last couple movements. So that was a great hang clean there. Nice front squat, nice positioning. Oh my goodness. Now she had her arms locked out, but the bar was just a little bit up in the front. And that's one of the issues with going with more of a push jerk setup rather than a split jerk. So you want to be able to drive that head underneath the bar.
So a couple more athletes get across the finish line here, as Annika Greer does hit the jerk next to her. Paige Semenza got across. And Paige Powers now just has the shoulder to overhead to complete, and she'll get in. And Paige makes that. So good effort from Paige Powers. 245 unofficially for her.
I really like how she decided to go with a little bit wider grip, shorter range of motion, and it's easy to drive yourself underneath that bar instead of trying to push it. So that was a great choice for her.
2 minutes left. That's Chloe Gavin-David in the black. Sylvia Garcia was on the right side of your screen. And Taylor Howe is already finished.
Chloe's setting up. You see her on the right-hand side of your screen. Now that's one of the issues if you're going to, like you saw on that hang clean, she didn't commit to a squat. It was a fighting to try to keep it just about parallel. She doesn't need to do that. That wastes a lot of energy. Just go for a full squat clean, get that bounce out of there, and then you can set up for that front squat.
Aoife Burke and Carolyn Connors are on the left side of your screen, and on the right, it's Chloe Gavin-David in the black. Burke is in. Sylvia Garcia trying to lock out that shoulder overhead at 195. So she has yet to move on to 205. And here's Chloe Gavin-David with 1 minute to go, back on the 205-pound barbell. Carolyn Connors is on the left side of your screen. She's at 205 as well.
Connors setting up. No problem getting under the bar there.
And Connors will hit that. As you take a look at her heart rate, she's wearing that boot monitor. Paige Semenza is there to congratulate her. Chloe Gavin-David and Faith Ferguson on the screen now. Gavin-David is on the left, Ferguson is on the right. Gavin-David is able to save that.
Wow.
Has to show off a little bit, drop it in front of her, and get across the finish line. Faith Ferguson will make that, and she is in with a few seconds to spare before that 5-minute time cap.
3, 2, 1.
It's Taylor Howe who sets the new time to beat. 1 minute, 29 seconds unofficially for her. Olivia Sulek had the prior top time at 2 minutes, 0.48 seconds, so 129. A blistering fast pace for Taylor Howe.
I mean, she just jumped out to the front and never let go after that. And you just saw her really handle that barbell without any sort of a problem. The confidence going into that was incredible. I mean, you know, when you have someone that just loves the heavy barbell and they feel very comfortable with it, it just exudes all over the place when they're out there lifting. So from the get-go, look at the strength that she had. Great positioning with that bar across that front rack. Look at that push. Look at these. She drives herself down underneath the bar, which is a beautiful setup. It was really fun to see Annika Greer get that last jerk. Great positioning. Look at that. Nice locked out arms. Great way to finish that up for Annika. But man, Taylor Howe, what an incredible start, and it's going to really put the pressure on this last heat.
129.31 seconds for Taylor Howe, who was 17th place overall. She was only 25 points out up to the top 10. So she's looking to really vault up the overall standings. If that time lasts through the final heat, Carolyn Stanley will finish in second. Paige Semenza is in third. Final heat for the women coming up next. Third and final heat for the women for their opening event here on day number 2 at Wodapalooza in beautiful Bayfront Park in Miami, Florida. Appreciate you being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with Bill Grundler. Jamie Hagia is down on the competition floor. Here's where we stand after day number 1 and 2 events. It's Ellie Turner, who was perfect on day 1, 200 points for her. Bethany Shadburn, 15 points back. She only has a 3-point cushion on Dani Speegle, Fisa Gaffi, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir, rounding out the top 5. If you like a heavy barbell, you're going to love this event, the MIA Bar Complex.
And not only if you like a heavy barbell, but do you like to have some ladies that can move some heavy barbells, which we're going to have in this heat. Look at the weights that ending up with that 205 with that final 1 rep of a hang clean, a front squat, and a shoulder overhead. That 1 bar has been putting some ladies into some difficulty. I mean, we're going to see that bar move quickly in this heat.
Obviously, strength very important, but so is strategy. And for more on that, here's Jamie Higia.
With our hang cleans, we're going to be seeing if these women are going to be doing hang power cleans or hang squat cleans. There also is another technique where you can bounce those hang cleans off of your upper thigh, keeping your chest nice and upright. It's fast, it's efficient, and we'll see if these women are going to be able to do that for the first 2 barbells.
Thank you, Jamie. Your lane assignments for the 3rd and final heats. Overall leaders will be towards the middle of the floor. Sarah Sigmundsdottir continuing her comeback from that knee injury. This will be a good test for her.
This will be a great test for her. You know, when she actually already kind of pre-tested this, we saw her in Dubai when she placed 7th there, where they did a heavy clean and jerk. She was able to pull 236.5 pounds. She's got a listed clean and jerk of 142. This is an event that's going to be great for her. And again, if you want to talk about who's going to be strong and who's going to be able to move some barbells, Dani Speegle, same thing. Has a listed clean and jerk at 220. This is another event that's going to play out well for her.
Dani Speegle in 3rd place, not 7th right now, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir is in 5th. Time to beat is Taylor Howes at 129.31 seconds. Take a look at Emma Tall going through her first hang clean. Sarah Sigmundsdottir and Dani Speegle already onto the shoulder to overhead.
You know, and right here we're talking about your 90%ers. Now, all these athletes are strong, but you don't need to be the strongest. And all these athletes have done, you know, clean and jerk ladders and speed ladders, but that's not what you need to have either. You need to have a little bit of both. There is volume to this, but it's also heavy. So you need to be the 90%er. You need to be able to get through that last bar. Now with Sarah, what we saw is she's just rushing this. Yes, this is a race, but it really comes down to that last barbell. So be okay as you get yourself through those bars. Now you can see the technique she's using, trying to bounce it off her leg to get some sort of a rebound as she can get herself under that bar.
And that's just what Jamie Higia told us to watch out for. So Sarah Sigmundsdottir trying to employ that technique as Dani Speegle steps up to 205. Ellie Turner is on the left. She's your overall leader. Trying to get through the 195-pound barbell. Dani Speegle through the front squat. She hits this and gets across the finish line. She's going to win the event. Speegle will make it. And Dani Speegle got a no rep. Ooh. That did not count. That could cost her the event win and hand 100 points to Taylor Howe. That was a big no rep for Dani Speegle. That one will count. Speegle is in at 133 unofficially. Should be good enough for 2nd place at 97 points. Emma Tall is across.
Now, someone we were wondering, is this going to be damage control, was Ellie Turner. We saw what she could handle yesterday. We know that she's more of like an endurance, grinding sort of athlete, but she is having absolutely no problem with any sort of weight. Look at that.
Turner is in 159 for her. Now here comes Emma McQuaid at 203.
And this is what I was really curious about. Now, Sarah has the ability and has the strength to move this barbell. But look at it, look at the body language. She's already shaking her head. Like, I don't know if this is my knee hurts or if it's just frustration. That's one of the things when you're coming back from injury, you never feel 100% in your head. So she's got to know she's actually in a win-win situation. There isn't the pressure for her to succeed. These are all tests for her. And look at it. Like, I don't know if it's pain or if it's pure frustration. That's one of the things that she's going to have to battle with. And honestly, for her, cancel it out. It's okay. You're not going to lose anything in this event for your future, the rest of your season. Just let this one go.
Now, Sarah Sigmundsdottir is having a hard time here, but remember, she only got back to competitive training in the past couple months.
Yeah.
So she is still working her way back from that injury.
I mean, she literally came right out of rehab, got the okay from her doctor, and jumped straight into Dubai competition. You know, she was happy about how she did there, which was wonderful, and it's great that she had some setup, you know, some ability and some success there. But a lot of times that kind of jumps you up ahead of time. Now look at that! Wow, that would look like a completely different lift.
And Sarah makes that, and now she moves to 205. Rafisa Ghafi is also on the final barbell as well. We have a little less than 90 seconds to go before we hit the 5-minute time cap.
So for Sarah, I mean, I hate to say you want to compete for fun, because when you're a competitor, you don't really compete for fun. You compete to excel. I mean, but whatever happened in that last bar, I mean, she looks like a completely different person. Even on that miss, that's all right. She looked much better on that hang clean and that squat by far.
Well, happiness is measured by expectations, and I know Sarah probably expects a little bit more of herself right now, which is why she's upset. But when you take everything into consideration here,
I mean, as a coach for Sarah, what I would be saying is, hey, this is a data point for the rest of your season. This is not a make or break for this. This is not indicative of what are you going to make it to the games or not. It's here's where you are currently in your training.
It's Amy Kringle who's trying to close out her event. And Bethany Shadburn is trying to encourage Sarah, as is Dani Speegle, but Sarah doesn't look like she's going to be able to get inside the time cap. She's going to make one more attempt. Sarah will be able to get under that. Running out of time here, but is able to get close on the shoulder to overhead. Now for her, that has got to be a mental victory.
I would think so. I mean, she got it up. She got it up. Again, the overall competition here is a data point for her to know where she is and what she needs to do. She got that bar up. She knows she can, so I think that was huge.
But Dani Speegle is going to win the heat at 1:33.10 seconds. Taylor Howe is going to get the event win. Speegle coming in third place overall, and was just 3 points back of Bethany Shadburn for second.
You know, now we knew that this was going to be a good event for Dani. One of the things that I was not expecting was how composed she would be through it. So composed to where she got a no rep, and I'm not even sure what the no rep was, but then had to go back and hit it again. And that second time that she hit it, it looked like the first lift. That's a lot of strength and a lot of power right there.
Dani Speegle by 6 seconds over Emma Tall. Ellie Turner, it's the first time she has not won an event, but she does very well with a third place finish in that heat. Emma McQuaid and Ariel Lowen rounding out the top 5. Bethany Shadburn will take 8th place in the heat. Dani Speegle looks to now move into 2nd place overall, and she is with Jamie Higia.
Dani, you're clearly known for your strength. When you saw this heavy barbell event, what was your approach to this workout?
Go do it. I don't like you said, I'm like known as a strong athlete. It's like no secret that a heavy barbell is going to be something that I enjoy on the competition floor. So it was kind of just like go out there. The short bar is a little tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's just like, can you move the weight? And I like to move the weight.
Yes, you talked about that short barbell being different. The biggest difference between that and a regular barbell?
It's just, it just feels heavier. Sorry, just feels really heavy.
And on that final jerk, we saw you get that, and then can you walk us through what happened in that final jerk?
That's just miscommunication with me and my judge. I needed to wait for the full, like, you can drop it. I thought I saw a nod, and that was on me as an athlete, so I just got to be better at watching my judge.
Thank you, Dani.
Well, Dani Speegle wins the heat. She said it felt fun.
Well, it was fun, but you know what? I'll say this. I love the fact that she admitted to that about the judge and doing that. I thought that was huge on her.
And here are your updated standings. Ellie Turner hangs on to the overall lead. Dani Speegle moves into 2nd. Emma McQuaid goes from 6th all the way up to 3rd. Bethany Shadburn now sits in 4th. And it's Ariel Lowen rounding out the top 5 as Sarah Sigmundsdottir falls out of the top 10 after that event. The individuals are done. Rory McKernan coming up next to get you caught up on everything going on here in Miami.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to RomWod. We're gonna focus on the quads and hamstrings, so let's begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Remember, It takes persistency and consistency to deepen your level of flexibility. This will in every way increase your level of performance as well as your level of wellness throughout day-to-day life. Thank you so much for taking time out to do today's RomWod routine. We'll see you tomorrow.
No excuses. No shortcuts. No gimmicks. No tomorrows.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I don't know where you're watching from, but we're glad that you're here. I could not be happier, and I could not be in a better space. I've got the sun on my face, I've got my feet in the sand, and I've got a very good friend next to me. That's Mr. Tommy Marquez. It's Rory McKernan here, going to catch you guys up on the action. Amanda Barnhart's joining us here just shortly. Guido Trinidad's going to come back with a couple of his favorite moments. But Tommy, I mean, we were just talking about this. We were made for this.
You know, a week ago I was in California. It was raining cats and dogs. I had a dream that I was in the sand next to a palm tree. I was wearing fuchsia shirts. and you know what? I wake up this morning and
dreams do come true.
You know, that's what happens at Wodapalooza. Dreams do come true.
Well, and you would know. You've been here many a year. And I would love, you know, Guido's going to come on. He's the founder of Wodapalooza, and he's going to be talking to us about some of his favorite moments. I talked to Bill earlier about his. I'd love to hear yours. Give me some of your favorite moments.
You know, this is year 5 for me for Wodapalooza, and one of the first years I was here, I came out to scout some potential up-and-coming athletes for the game season, and you know, I stopped to watch the Team of 3 competition because I heard a lot of ranting and raving about that, some unique combinations. And there was these 3 brothers on the competition floor for a max snatch event, last name Panchik.
Heard of
the
them.
2 twins hadn't quite qualified for the games yet, still up and coming. And I watched them go back to back to back, 285 snatches in a row, no misses, just fired up. The whole crowd on Bayside was pumped. You had the backdrop of the ocean and all the sun. I was like, there's something special here. 2 minutes later, walked over, watched the adaptive divisions, and was blown away. And I knew that this was an event that's only going to get bigger and brighter.
Came back to the office on a rainy day in Santa Cruz, and you're just like, I don't know what to say to you guys except that this is the place to be. All right, well, let's dig back into competition because it's obviously been going on all day long. We'll talk about the female teams division first, which we've got a very interesting race, to say the least, a 3-way tie for first place. We've got Mayfem, of course, with Krieger and Team GOWOD. Did you get to watch some of that action? Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, we got a 3-horse race tied at the top in points, but really impressed with how Krieger has managed the workload so far. Back-to-back event wins to open up day number 1. Day 3 was going to open up with something that maybe wasn't in their wheelhouse with the heavy barbell, but so far so good. They've been able to fight off and do some damage control, and they have the first place by virtue of 2 event wins, so they got the tiebreaker. And then GOWOD, they were my team to watch in this event, and they showcase why. Julie Hogard, individual games athlete, Sol Sigurdsdottir, an accomplished weightlifter, you know, team athlete, and they made quick work of that final barbell to move into a tie. And then Mayfem, how do you not pick this team when you have the reigning Affiliate Cup champions and the 5th fittest woman on earth? And so far we've had a great race, and I expect to only get better from here.
Let's pop it over to the males, where it's a little bit different than I expected it to play out in some respects. Obviously, I've got some biases when it comes to Mayhem and Cookville in particular. But at the top of the standings, the boys continue to have fun. Thunder from Down Under kicking butt. 2.5 men, a European team in 3rd place. And then you'd have to go all the way down to 10th to find Mayhem in Paradise.
You know, I wouldn't worry too much, you know, talking with you and some of the Mayhem crew, they were originally just trying to come here and have a good time. But, you know, you look at the top of the standings overall and who is sitting in first place after 3 events in the boys. And to me, I couldn't be more stoked for them because I really think that they embody the best of what this competition here in Wodapalooza can be. 3 friends getting together, just throwing down, broing out, and having a good time. And you know what? If you're having a good time, sometimes that equals success on the leaderboard. And they walk away with back-to-back event wins, throwing down, you know, Chandler Smith wasn't the prettiest on the barbell, but it got the job done, and they're in the top spot overall, and they look like they may run away with this.
Let me just pick your brain for a second, because there's, I mean, there's definitely past history in which playing on a team like this, and look, we're not at the CrossFit Games, but can help enhance somebody's individual career. Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, competition experience is competition experience, and sometimes you have to go through the cycles of, you know, showing up to a competition, putting together a game plan, executing, getting used to being in the stables, the time difference between when you warm up and when you work out, and all those little nuances that come with competition. And, you know, for all the competition experience that Rich has as a team, you know, Luke and Angelo don't have a ton working in unison like that. You know, Andrew just came back as an individual last year. Luke competed as an individual, and you know, you can do collaborative workouts in the barn and you know, at Rich's house. But this is a little bit different beast, and we're seeing a little trial by fire for the Mayhem team, and they're in 10th, and I think they got through a few speed bumps, and they could see their stock rise a little bit here.
No doubt, no doubt. I was reminded that once upon a time, Pat Vellner was actually on a team. Oh, yeah. You forget that, right? And then
absolutely.
it comes in. He's got, like you said, that competition experience. Well, we're going to get to the individual competition here in a second, but we have to celebrate, again, just how much is going on. You know, we've got 4 stages going at any one time. I think there's 48 divisions that are competing, and then all sorts of cool events happening throughout the day, including this morning where RomWod was here doing a sunrise morning session. We're going to take a look at that and give you guys just even more FOMO if you didn't have enough already.
We are at Wodapalooza, and we are doing the Sunrise RomWod. I have been RomWodding since the beginning. I've always kind of had tight hips, tight low back, and as soon as I had a dedicated workout of the day for my stretching, I knew that I could do that every day. It's just like my workouts every day. So it's a daily thing for me, make sure that I'm ready to, you know, hit the gym every day. I am all about good energy and good vibes, and there's no place better. I think that this competition is obviously a competition. You get to test yourself and your fitness, but it's also a celebration, and it's so fun to be here every year.
All right, welcome back. I cannot wipe the smile off my face. And Guido Trinidad, the founder of Wodapalooza, now joins me. I'm sure it's a very familiar feeling for you, but just let me check in with you real quick. How's this weekend going for you so far?
Loving it.
Yeah.
Day 1 of 4. It's going to be a nice long weekend, but started off really strong. Just a lot of smiles. You know, it's like when you first get back to see someone that you haven't seen in 6 months or a year, even longer for some. You know, it's a big family reunion. So
it is, and a great place to do it, man. Well, remember, Guido's joining us to talk back through the years. We're celebrating a decade of this celebration, and so we did 10, 9, and 8. We're down to number 7. So number 7 was Assault on Fran. Tell the people what that was all about.
I think every event should have at least a minimum of one workout that really just tests your soul. You know, where you're like a little afraid before even going into that. And so I'm a big fan of classic workouts. So like, you know, Fran can't get more classic CrossFit than that.
Yep.
How do we make that even worse than what it is, right? And I'm not a big fan of the bike. So I figured if we can couple those two things together, Fran and the bike, that's going to get pretty gnarly. And it was more beautiful and horrible than I could have imagined. I mean, the bodies on the floor that dropped all at the same time.
Yeah.
The little evil side of me just was so happy.
Well, because Fran is such a legendary workout in the CrossFit community, right? Everybody talks about it. Everybody knows about it. You know your Fran time, and you share it with other people. So to add just that one implement in is such a curveball, especially back then when it hadn't been seen before.
It was pretty new, the Salt Bike, yeah.
I love it. Okay, cool. So then we move on, and we go from competition-specific to a little bit more vibey. We've got the water back here.
Yeah.
And something to do with that.
Yeah, well, so we're all about, you know, the experience, right? How do we create an experience for these athletes that goes beyond anything that they would do in the gym, right? Because you could do Assault on Fran in the gym. Most people probably wouldn't. Like, I don't want to test that. I'll only do it if I have to. But some people would say, hey, I would do that, like, if I could, because it just sounds like fun. So the swim, I'm not a big swimmer, and I've always felt like most swim workouts always just isolated the swim, and the swim was the test. So you could throw anything else in it, but if it was just swimming, it really, you know, you're only testing swimming. So how do we grab a classic workout and integrate swimming in a way that, you know, no one would ever be able to do out on their own if it wasn't for this, you know, event? So yeah, we brought a barge out and put a rig on the barge with handstand push-up walls, and it was nuts. So you got the weightlifting implement on land, swam out, did some handstand push-ups, swam back on the land. That's just round 1. So you had to do 3 rounds of that, 21:59. It was pretty epic.
I would say this is very different.
For sure. Like, where else are you going to be able to do that? Yeah. So that was probably, I would say, my favorite workout of all time that we've had here at Wodapalooza.
I feel like we need to bring that back as well. I would love to see that. Okay, and so finally, take your time with this one, because I think anybody who's ever been to the CrossFit Games or been to an event can appreciate what you're going to explain next. It had to do with the experience inside the arena as a fan while watching, and this was a moment in Flagler that you described.
Yeah, so the moment in Flagler, I want to say the workout itself was just really cool. It was a chipper that you got to eventually end up doing a max snatch. And we always want to end Saturday night, and it's probably the most packed jam night of the weekend. And you know, you want to have, you know, your hallmark key workout that night. And so basically what I think my daughter had gone to a concert like literally a month before that. She brought back these bracelets. She was like, you know, Dad, these bracelets were lighting up to the beat of the music. It was so cool. She starts telling about the experience. I'm like, we need that. That is just going to elevate everything that weekend, not just for the athletes, but the spectators. And so we found a way to implement it. It was going to the beat of the music. We had a drone lift up and show footage. I mean, it was just like, is this really happening? Like,
Right.
we just started off like with a backyard throwdown, and here we are like running a concert and throwing barbells over our head at the same time.
Not just as an event organizer, but also as a father. That's probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard. Some people would be like, you give me that bracelet and you go to your room.
Yeah.
You're like, no, we need to do this.
Let's do this now. It's always been about the family.
I love it. I love it. Well, we hope you'll come back. You're going to come back tomorrow. We got more moments to share.
sure.
We've got Guido coming through all weekend long. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you,
glad
my
you're being a fantastic host, and thank you so much
I appreciate you guys
for
being
coming
here.
and joining us.
Yeah.
All right, we mentioned it before, but there's so much going on here, guys. We want to kind of take you virtually around the stadium in case you couldn't be here and increase that FOMO. Of course, we've got multiple competition floors, as we mentioned, all the different divisions. There's action going all day long. So if you couldn't be here and you want to get a look, here we go. So we've got divisions competing on all the floors all day long. We've got there's more to do here than you could imagine. It's almost like a super mall. If you talk about your favorite brands in the CrossFit space, places that you wish you could have all in one place at one time, well, this is it. They're here, and they're all in a beautiful atmosphere and easily accessible. It's funny, just walking through here, you see all your favorite athletes, a lot of your favorite community members. And it is a blast, just to say the least. So no shortage of things to do. I literally opened up the Wodapalooza app this morning, and there was too much. Tried to build a schedule, didn't even know where to go with it. Surprise, surprise! We have with us a 4-time CrossFit Games competitor, Amanda Barnhart. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
I was worried about making you wait, but then I saw you just kind of sitting in the sun.
Oh.
You look very relaxed. You look like you're having a good time.
I am a sun baby, so I saw that spot and I was like, I'll just sit here and wait. I'll wait all day. It's fine.
Well, we talked about it. Leaving Boston, where you live. I mean, this is a nice break.
Yeah, it was 9 degrees when I left Boston. And then I came here and saw the palm trees in the sun, and I was like, oh, I'm in heaven.
Unbelievable. Well, unpack that a little bit more for me. Like, what do you like about Wodapalooza? What kind of draws you here?
Oh my gosh. So I first came here in 2020, competed. It was my first time ever coming to Wodapalooza. I was blown away by just the amount of people here, the competition, like how many people come just to watch all the competitors. So being here and not competing has been awesome because I'm actually getting to soak it in.
Yes. Now, I want to go back to Boston. And I just have to ask, I mean, you guys have such an amazing thing going on in terms of a training environment, but from your point of view, I want to know, like, what are the benefits of kind of being plugged in with that group of people, training all the time, and how does it benefit you?
It's just being around like-minded people who are chasing the same goal. It's like you can train with other CrossFitters who are great people and, are trying to get better at CrossFit, but if they're not trying to achieve the same goal, it's not the same. So you're in there and you know that they're going through the same thing as you, their goals are the same, and they're showing up no matter what. It makes it so much easier to work hard.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of miles. I've been able to visit a couple times. I'm very, very blessed in that sense. For people who have never been or don't know, is it as fun as it looks?
I mean, is CrossFit as fun as it looks? Yeah, I mean, we obviously all have bad days. That's what makes it better is having people there to lift you up and make it easier. Like when you go to the gym by yourself on a bad day, it's a lot harder. When you go into the gym with teammates on a bad day, it's a lot easier. It makes it more fun, and you walk away proud of the effort that you put in because they helped push you.
Yeah, I love it. Can we talk about your 2022 prospects this year?
Sure.
Okay, 4 years, 3 of them in the top 10. You've got all the tools. You're an amazing athlete. What have you identified? What is it that's going to take you from where you are to top of the podium?
So we all know the upper body pulling and the high volume gymnastics has always been a struggle for me, and we are hammering it. And I'm so sick of doing chest to bar pull-ups and legless rope climbs, but I am getting better at them and I'm getting stronger. And, just building the fitness and building the confidence, I think, is huge too. A CrossFit is a lot of mental, and if you're not ready for that part of it, you're never going to be ready. So I'm very excited for this season.
Right on, right on. Well, we can't wait to watch you, and I'm so glad you got to stop by. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so we're going to say goodbye to Amanda. Tommy will be back in just a moment. We're going to talk about what we got coming up for the rest of the day. Of course, event number 4, the Bayside Chipper, has been the talk of the town. Box jump overs, double kettlebell fronts, box step overs, rope climbs. We got the whole thing. And Tommy, we got to get caught up here on men's standings after 3 so that we can talk about what we're going to see this afternoon.
Oh, man. And there's going to be a little surprise at the top of the leaderboard there as far as the men's standings are concerned because, you know, every year there's someone here at Wodapalooza that shows up big and it kind of announces their arrival.
And that man, of course, as you're mentioning, is Phil Toon. Has taken the lead over Patrick Vellner. And you've been learning about this dude all weekend, and I know he was on your radar before. You mentioned that even before the weekend started, but what have you learned about him?
Well, that he's starting to put together the complete package, right? You know, he came on a few of our radars last year during semifinals, during the Last Chance qualifier, you know, with some massive lifts, and it's always nice to see that foundation of strength and athletes being able to move big weights, but then starting to be able to, you know, tie it together to complexes and all the different ways that they worked strengths into programming. And for an athlete that now has back-to-back second-place finishes to be in first at this point, even if he doesn't hold on, that's giving us the insight to maybe we should take him seriously as a games caliber athlete.
Yeah, I love it. We've talked about Pepper. We've talked a lot about Pat Vellner. Who else, though, has kind of grabbed your attention that maybe people at home should be watching for?
Alexander Caron right now just outside of a podium position. You know, this is a multi-year games qualifier, and I always love a story of an athlete working to find their way back from injury. In 2018, Caron was inside the top 10 at the games after the CrossFit Total. Unfortunately, hurt his knee, full reconstructive surgery. Pretty much missed out on 2019 working his way back. Now he's been back to the games. He's 24th this year. And it looks like he's slowly improving with each and every competition.
Love it. Okay, cool. Well, let's shift over and we'll talk about the women who also just took on MIA Bar Complex. And your overall standings after 3 events now have shifted just slightly. I mean, Dani Speegle, man, she went after that barbell. That was insane. And your overall standings still have Ellie Turner on top, but the gap has been closed a bit by Dani Speegle. Emma McQuaid in 3rd place, Shadburn and Ariel Lowen rounding out that top 5. I mean, where do we go with this one? Who caught your eye? I mean, Dani was really moving like a champion.
Yeah, I got to give credit to Dani Speegle. It feels like every single year she shows up to Wodapalooza, she just points her bat to the stands and puts one in the cheap seats because, you know, you think back to 2019, they had a heavy snatch handstand walk event, and she just wowed the crowd with how quickly she moved that barbell. She didn't get the event win here because of a costly no rep at the end, but still a top 2 finish, still executed as well as she could have given the circumstances, and it puts her even closer to the overall lead. And this would be a huge confidence boost for someone who had to withdraw from the games due to injury.
Yeah, I love it. What else should we be looking out for?
Well, I mean, the overall leader, young athlete, trying to make a name for herself after her first CrossFit Games qualification, Ellie Turner. You know, this event wasn't necessarily going to be the best for her overall. She needed to maybe hold off some of the heavy hitters, and she did just that. She finished 3rd in the top heat. She managed to, you know, put together a top 10 performance in the heavy barbell. And she says she loves chippers, so now she has another event coming off of, you know, doing your job in damage control that she can really sink her teeth into event and hopefully re-widen that gap over some big-name athletes.
She's bringing the heat, man. She's got my attention, that's for sure.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And, you know, we should have learned, right? You know, it feels like, you know, half a decade ago, another Australian showed up to the games and kind of surprised some people, and maybe our sensors should have been up a little bit higher. And it's happening again, but in a different circumstance, and it's always cool to see.
It is always cool to see. Thank you, my friend. This has been fun. And you guys, we've got so much more coming throughout the day. We'll be right here to keep you guys caught up. More action is coming up very, very soon, and we'll keep checking in with you. And then shout out to Tier for these shades that we got hooked up with.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
All right, guys, keep it tuned here. I hope you're enjoying the day, and we'll be back with more very shortly.
you're there,